Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Torogi Talk. Unfortunately, in this episode, we came across a bit of audio corruption, so you're going to notice that there are going to be some clips where I insert some voiceovers, just like this one. Thanks for your understanding, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey, my name's Jay Watan. Over here in San Francisco, California. Member of BIBAK Northern California. I serve as a chaplain in the United States Army and also a priest in the Episcopal Church, serving at the Episcopal Church of St. Matthew in San Mateo. My family comes from Mountain Province. Actually, all over really, but mostly from Mountain Province, and we moved a couple generations ago to La Union, up in the mountain areas of San Gabriel, and so that's where our family's from. Hey, Mark.
Okay, I am Jay's brother, so I have my parents come from the same place. So I don't need to repeat that, but I'm also part of the. Well, I'll repeat. I'm part of the BBEC of Northern California. But then about 6 years ago, I moved to the UK with my wife, who's from England, and she's also part of. And now I'm part of Igorot UK, which her family has been a big part of out here in London. So that's where I'm at right now.
I gotta hear your accent.
Yeah. And it's really late here. Anyways, Idol.
My name is Idol Matthias. I am also part of BIBAK Vancouver, like Gerald. My mom's from Kabayan, Benguet, and my dad is from Bukod, Benguet. My family speaks Ibaloy, and Gerald and I kind of work together. Photo and video. Go ahead, Arnold.
Very cool. Hey, how you doing? Arnold Basingat. I am from Los Angeles, California. Stand-up comedian, actor, other things. And both of my parents are from Bonto. So that's, I don't know what.
Right on.
I think that was it.
Your favorite ice cream, yo. I forgot
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
and my favorite ice cream is a butter pecan. Long walks on the beach, and
All right, so thank you for the intros, everybody. Now we're going to shift our focus to Arnold. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and perhaps your experiences growing up as an Igorot?
Yeah. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Oh yeah, I am a member of BIBAK Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, that's
the question I missed.
That one.
Of course I would. Of course I missed something. Yeah, welcome to my life.
Your dad was only like a super prominent figure in it.
Oh yeah, that's right. I must mention, my dad was the president of BIBAK Los Angeles back in the 80s for, I don't know, 2 terms, maybe? No, something. Anyway, but yeah. Yeah, growing up, I was Chinese pretty much because that's all I knew back in the 80s and 90s and even into the 2000s. It's just like, you're Chinese, the only Asian ethnicity that but like just like all of us, like we were lucky enough to have grown up in the BIBAK organization to learn our culture from an early age, and that's pretty much what happened. It was a struggle, I guess, to like be out in the world as a young student who was pretty much bullied and bombarded by racism, but also trying to get to know who you are, So there's that. I don't know. I'm kind of thankful for it though. I would not be who I am now if it wasn't for those struggles and balance all of that. At that time, at a young age, I don't know. It was a different time. I think the millennials and the new generation are going through something much different. But for us, it was I don't know. I'm thankful for it.
We know the Watan brothers have been targeted, let's say, in terms of something like racism. So I think we're just wondering if there was a story or something similar that you could share in terms of that.
I can't say that I was personally attacked, and if I ever was, I probably blocked it out and I don't remember. But I have heard stories of other people who have been told that there's because they're Igorot, or when they find out for Filipino, it's like, oh, that's cool. But when they find out we're Igorot, it's like, oh, we're savages.
Yeah.
You know, uh, or I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to hear it from other Filipino people. You know.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. And it's hard enough. Even if with other Asian ethnicities, it's kind of like, and it's kind of Ali Wong talks about us being like, or like Southeast Asians being like the jungle Asians or whatever, which is I'm down with that. Like that's what we are, like that's where we're. But I don't know. We were very much looked down upon, and I've heard stories about that. And even my sister talks about other Filipinos where she works, finding out that she's Igorot and just like saying super offensive, derogatory things. Like, wow, like people still think this about us, that we're savages, and that the having the tail and stuff like that. That we still, we still headhunt. I do that in my spare time. It's like, come on.
Do you?
Yeah. Got a few back here. Let's open up the cupboards. Yeah. There's some of that, me hearing those stories. But for me, personally, the personal attacks on me were me being a pinche Chino, me being Chinese, me being being thought of as the smart one. I'm like, you do not want to copy off of my paper. You might, it's like, because I'm Asian, I'm the smart guy, and you want to copy off my paper, and then I get blamed when you do poorly. It's like, no, you thought I was that guy, but no, I'm not. Actually.
So they must have also thought that you did your martial arts, right?
Yeah. Too many fights. You would think that like people will try to fight me, or maybe that helped me. It's like, oh, dude, this guy's Asian. He's gonna whip my ass because he karate. He's well versed in the jujitsus. I don't know. There was one time recently though. I was in a band for over a decade. Back in the late '90s, early 2000s, and we went to Madison, Wisconsin for a show. And
okay.
Yeah, say no more, right?
Yeah, that's all you have to say.
We literally landed that day, checked into our hotel. We were still in the lobby checking in. A couple walks through the lobby drunk and says, this is like probably, I mean, like I've experienced more things than this, but this is the one that sort of stands out because it was just like we were in a different state, different, place, excited to be in a band as Asian Americans, it was an all Asian American band. We were just like, representing, and we thought we were doing a good thing. We were playing a show for an Asian American organization. So it was like, this is dope. We land, check into our hotel. First thing we hear was like, I love Chinese food. Like, what?
Oh, God.
As she stumbles out, and then like her boyfriend is just like, like apologizing for her. Like, oh, I'm sorry, and like rushing her out because we were like, we G'd up real quick. We were like, what the hell? Did she just, we were also shocked, and I don't know why. We weren't familiar with the area, so but now we know. But yeah, that was one of the more recent times, and and then we I think we all sort of like experience little like things that aren't so blatant here and there, but yeah, it still happens. Mm-hmm. Oh, this whole time I thought he was saying something else.
Rice is rice.
Oh, rice is right. Yeah.
Rice is rice.
Yeah. Rice is rice, right? We all eat rice, so yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a whole
I'm
conversation on that.
Mhm.
Like some of the experiences, like in the I don't remember how many episodes ago that was, but folks can check back and hear a couple more stories about those experiences
Yeah.
as well. So the whole being mistaken for Chinese, that's definitely, especially in like California, man.
Right.
Definitely
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the times. So that whole experience of being Asian American
yeah.
and yeah, definitely. I remember that whole thing, like people thinking they want to copy on your paper, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's what you mentioned. I was just laughing.
That model minority myth, man. Like I don't think people like. I think it's becoming more of a thing now. People are sort of realizing that, but which I'm happy for. But back then, it was just like, wow, you really think I'm that?
Yeah.
That's crazy. No.
But you know what's crazy? It's like 20 years later now, and people are only waking up to that now. I don't know if it's because of social media making bringing that awareness to people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole model minority myth, that was like when did we go to school? Like the 90s, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. You know, what's funny is just like when I first heard about that, I was still young and I was like, oh, that's cool. We're thought of as this and that. But at the same time, it's right. It's like they were held to this high standard, but then you were like, nah, that's not me though. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
That person.
Of course, growing up, they didn't. Most people didn't know what kind of Asian was Asian. They can't tell the difference. We're just all Chinese to everyone's. I used to get all kinds of stuff at school, Ching Chong, Chinaman.
Especially in your generation.
Oh yeah.
And you know, my parents, they thought it was cool to get a lunchbox with David Carradine's Kung Fu on it, which I thought was so cool because I love that show until I realized he was a white guy, right?
Right.
But that's something else. But then again, I love that lunchbox because it's like shows like this Asian looking guy kicking somebody's butt, right?
It says Kung Fu on it.
I mean, that kind of held up. It's like,
yeah.
Right. So, anyways, what I find sometimes a little bit troublesome is that I think the depiction of what Asian Americans, especially Asian American males, it seems to be very it's not yet broadened out there. I think that like in terms of
Okay.
It sounds like you got a lot to say about this, though.
No,
I just want to drop a couple of things there. The only other Asians I see there are either gay males, you know, which hey, God bless him, you know, that's great. But then it makes it feel like, you know, that that's the only ones out there, you know, and it's very rare. I mean, there's only a few shows out there that depict like Asian male stereotypes. If we have to draw back all the way to Bruce Lee still. And Bruce Lee was what, 40 whatever years, 50 years ago now?
50, man. 50
yeah,
or
that's
60,
50 years ago. That's Bruce Lee. I mean, we can't be drawn back to Bruce Lee still. But in some ways, we still kind of are. But that to me is a little bit... there's still some work to do with it. And
exactly.
I don't know what it is, considering we were only, 6% of the population?
Right, exactly. Only.
Yeah,
right. Only.
But in California, where like media reigns, you'd think that, and since Filipinos have been there since Hollywood even began,
right?
You would think
the 20s,
you would think there'd be more. Yeah, man, you'd think that there would be more Filipino presence in the media, you know, especially in Hollywood, right? This is part of the reason why we have you on.
yeah.
Because you're someone who has been in media,
right?
And it's great to know that, like, you know, you're out there and doing this and representing in a certain way. Yeah, yeah,
for sure, man. We can talk about how it started. We can talk about systemic racism. We can talk about how we are just being bullied to stay down and just like, you know, know our role or whatever. But as far as like entertainment goes, I'm just gonna speak on my own experience. All we've ever known growing up was black and white as far as media goes, as far as entertainment goes. That's just how it's been. But you know, funnily, is that a word? For me growing up, yeah, now it is. Influences, like whenever I see something that look like me, and I'm talking late 80s, early 90s, like I watching like Chef Martin Yan and like Ming Tsai, these Chinese
yeah.
dudes cooking. Like this was my entertainment. These are Asian dudes, Martin Yan straight up had an accent, and even when I saw like Dante Bosco in a Skittles commercial, that was like this. I was like, yo, this dude could be my brother, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. And it's funny, I never really thought about it. It's like, that was so long ago, and like we're still struggling, still in a place where we're not at a point where we're not the Brad Pitts yet. We're not the Washingtons yet. And I think it's because people just aren't used to seeing us. People like maybe there was, maybe to a certain extent, we were just sort of like the humble, quiet people who just like, we did what we did, but we didn't want to like brag about it. But now it's time, like, we need to make, like, especially Filipino Americans, like, we like to party. We make noise. And I think more so now than before, like we need to harness that power and like make more noise. And I think we're finally getting to that point. I can't speak for other entertainers. Like for me, like once again, like I said, like whenever I saw an Asian person on TV, I latched onto them, and that's kind of all I knew. Ernie Reyes Jr., man, straight up, like,
Right.
yeah, or like Surf Ninjas and stuff, like I could care less. Yeah, exactly. I could care less about the white dudes. Like, yeah, maybe like when I was younger, I would like study them, or when I was studying acting, I would study them. But like, I would latch onto the Asians, and that's who I would like tell myself, yo, one day I'm gonna be on. So maybe that's why it never really affected me. I know this sounds, I'm pretty sure like other entertainers like listening to this will probably be like, dude, come on, man, we've been struggling, we've been trying. Though, like maybe I think now is the time. We're making noise now, we're doing things, so let's continue to do that. Let's continue to like create the products for ourselves, like write the stories for ourselves, and go out there and stop being so shy about it. I guess maybe I know it's a little tough, but even for me, I'm sorry, you can stop me whenever you want, because I know I talk a lot.
No, it's fine. For listening, man.
Yeah. It was always about the passion. It was like when I first started studying acting, when I first broke into entertainment, it was like I wanted to be in radio. So I think part of the reason why is because I don't think the general public I think I would be marketable to the general public. So maybe I subconsciously in the back of my mind, people probably wouldn't want to see my face, but I got a voice. So
okay.
There was an Asian American DJ back in the day named Theo on 92.3 The Beat here.
Oh, we all know Theo.
Oh yeah, actually he came from the Bay. He came from the Bay. Yeah.
Theo Misahara.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, right. So when
Mr. Handsome,
this guy he had a voice. I had no idea he was Japanese American, and I was like, yo, this guy's dope. Like I would listen to him. I was a fan. And then when I found out he was Japanese, like, holy shit, what? This guy, this guy's doing it. He's something. He's making noise. But is he making noise because people can't see his face and he just has a voice?
It was like this. Really
that was kind of
voice.
there. Yeah. It was like, oh no, it's like smoother.
Yeah.
He was way smoother than that. But so like he was one. Yeah. So he was one of my influences, sort of like growing up and wanting to get into the entertainment industry and wanting to be in radio. So there were these Asian Americans who sort of latched on to, and I like that's kind of all. That's what I wanted to be, and perhaps there weren't enough of us. There weren't enough people doing that, like seeing Asian Americans in the entertainment industry and wanting to do that. But that's because our parents forced us to do other things, and that's another topic.
Nursing.
Yeah. We were hindered. Maybe
dream, right?
Yeah, exactly. Joker talks about that too. My
Right.
dream was to be a Jabberwocky. Yeah, see, it was. yeah. I think Filipinos,
you got to give them props on it because they were kind of right.
Yeah,
in that sense,
I get it.
In the sense of like being secure.
Yes,
but
yes,
if you're going, if you're trying to reach your passions, that path is never always secure.
Right, right.
Going
So that was
our
our
passions is
that our
always going to be
parents
challenging.
pissed on our dreams.
But they were our parents were protecting us, though, right?
Yeah.
They came
They
to
do what they
this
have
when
to.
I was a
country.
kid,
Yeah.
I wanted to be Special Forces, Marine
Yeah.
Corps, and even my dad, career Navy, said no.
Wow. Wow.
I joined the military in my old age and
Yeah.
realized, wow, this is a young person's game. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. But I mean, even things like that. I'm sure all of y'all had,
Yeah.
because some of us are nurses here. Like
Yeah.
my mom wanted me to become a nurse. I
Yeah.
wanted to become
Yeah.
like straight up first responder, jump out of helicopters. That's what I
That's
wanted to do.
badass. Yeah.
And gosh, then I think about it, I was like, dang, you know what? Dang, my mom might have been right, in terms of
Right.
like career. I'd be walking straight still, you know?
Oh.
Ah.
Oh.
uh,
I
but
get it.
no regrets.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
The beauty of existence, man. It's just right? We could either be influenced
Right.
our outside forces, circumstances, or other people or whatever. But at the end of the day, we have a choice, right? And yeah, we all have a choice. And I totally get it. Our parents wanted to protect us, and they wanted us to take the stable route. I think that our parents' generation expects us to sort of take care of them out, and I feel so bad that I wasn't able to get to a point soon enough, or in life to be able to do that. I wanted to do that through entertainment, though. I didn't want to do it through, which was sort of like the easier route, I guess. All God, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. It's hard work. I get where all my friends and family are coming from and what you have gone through and sacrifice to get to where you are. All my healthcare, friends and family, dude. Yeah. But trying to do that with entertainment. Goddamn. Gosh darn. Sorry.
We swear, man.
Don't
Don't
worry,
worry.
bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry.
Don't worry, it's not EAM, man. It's
Yeah. I know. See. God.
you see
Yeah.
us and you're
I
going
miss
like,
you.
oh, no.
Exactly. I'm like, sorry, rules. Yeah. No, which was fine when we were younger. We needed that. We needed outlines. We needed like structure. Yeah.
Right.
But gosh, where was I going? Our parents sort of like wanting us to go a certain route, but oh man, once again, I love my parents, like my dad and my mom. God rest her soul. I hope she's proud of me. But like the fact that they allowed me to do what I wanted, probably semi disappointed when I chose to do things outside of like what any normal Filipino kid would do. But they were just like, hey, if that's what you're passionate about, that's what you really want to do, like we really want you to do this, but we're not going to stop you from doing what you wanted to do. And I feel like I'm super appreciative of that. And yes, I'm struggling more, and I have struggled more because of that, but that is the path that I had to take to get to where I am now.
Right on.
But like,
Amen.
yeah, you have to, like, I don't think people have to struggle, but I don't know. Wherever life sort of takes you is where you need to be. Like for me personally, I had to struggle, maybe because I'm so hard headed and I'm so stubborn, and I think I need to like hit rock bottom 3 times in my life. I think I need to be in near-death or maybe I had to have gone through near-death experiences in my life to get to where I am now. It's the same for everybody, but that's the path that I had to take to be where I am now at my age. But at the same time, it's never too late to like, to like start your not start your life. We start our life when we were born, but
Go back to nursing.
So you say your
yeah,
parents
go back to
Follow your
nursing.
passion.
Yeah. It's never too late to go back to
follow your passion.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right,
that's good.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So Arnold, you said that your parents supported you through this, and sometimes I know amongst Filipinos, maybe less so amongst Igorot. I found that Igorot families generally allow our folks to to roll with their passion as long as it wasn't like stupid stuff, like
Yeah.
stupid stuff that was non-productive and all that.
Right. Right.
But generally, if this was your passion, they're gonna find a way to try to support it because they
I
know
think so.
you will
Yeah.
live into the wholeness of who you are, who God
Right.
created you to be.
Right.
But I know amongst Filipinos, this is not true. Amongst
Right.
our wider
Thank you.
the wider group. And
Thank
and
you.
and
Yeah.
and that's interesting because then maybe perhaps that's one of those Igorot values that might be
There you
something that's
go.
unique within our group, because I have found consistently that generally the parents, Igorot parents, have been very supportive of their children
Mhm.
and whatever passions they live into,
Okay.
as long as it was life-giving, healthy, and it had a direction of growth.
Right.
And I don't always see that with a lot of my Filipino peers, and even how some of the younger ones have grown up. A lot of times it's very like, well, I told you so, and if you don't do it, I'll disown you in some sort of way.
Right.
And that's kind of disheartening. That's
Yeah.
discouraging. And oftentimes
Yeah.
when you tell someone to do something that they're not supposed to do, they'll just go ahead and do it just because that's who
The
wants to be
rebellious
told what to
nature.
do.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
So
Mm.
I'm wondering then, in that pocket of support,
Mhm.
how vital was that for you? As you said, hey, mom, dad, I want to go into entertainment.
Oh man. Oh, sorry. I'm just thinking about my parents. So I was just like, yeah. It was super vital. They allowed me to be who I wanted to be, to do what I wanted to do. I've always heard those stories from other Filipinos and just Asian homies and stuff like that, like how strict parents were.
Mm.
For my parents to allow me, I was just like, oh, this is crazy. This is different. This is like straight up amazing. Like, if they're gonna allow me to do this, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna roll with it. Like, the amount of like support that they put, on money that they like shelled out for me to like to do this is crazy. So it was, yeah, without them allowing me to just do what I wanted, let's just say they forced me to, before I decided to go into broadcasting, I told my parents that I wanted to go into physical therapy. They lit up. They're like, oh my gosh, they got super excited. And then like very last second
Even me, I was like, really?
Yeah.
My eyebrows go, whoa, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, whoa, that's crazy. They were super excited about that. But very last second, when I was filling out the college applications, entertainment, broadcasting was what I wanted to do. Thanks to Theo, boy. Thanks to just wanting to tell my story and and music was a huge thing for me back then. So like being to be able to talk to people, to do it and also be a part of music, to be surrounded by music, and that was like a huge thing for me. So I was just like, okay, like radio broadcasting is where I wanted to go. They were still like, they weren't, they weren't just, or at least they didn't show me that they were disappointed or they weren't mad at me. They were just like, it was really just like, wow. Like my dad shared told me, he's like, you've always been an ambitious person. And, I think, I'm going to, they both straight up said, we're going to support you with whatever you want to do. And, to think, what if I did take the physical therapy path? I have a friend who took that path and she's doing really well for herself or whatever. And I'm like, what if I did? I don't know. It may not have gone the same way, who knows? Like maybe I'd be unhappier. Maybe I would have, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't be allowed to, I don't know, something, there's a reason why it didn't go that way. And yeah, and you just make decisions throughout your life, and I have like you said, Jay, no regrets, it's just, you live your life, you make the decisions that you make. You can try to control as much as you can control, but at the end of the day, where you're at is where you're at, and you,
yeah.
And then it just,
maybe it wasn't your calling.
It wasn't your calling. Yeah, for sure. Maybe, yeah, for sure. That's it. I feel like if it was, then that's what I would be right now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow you would have ended
that's
it back
very
there if you felt like that was something you really wanted to do. I think that you kind of find your way back around.
yeah,
Things go full circle, you know, and
exactly.
I think you would have ended up back there again if you really wanted
Yeah,
to go that route. You know,
it's true.
it is what it is.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It's true. That's like one of those things. Like, yeah, that phrase, like, it is what it is. I used to kind of be like, I used to be weird about that. Like, it is what it is. Like, no, like no, actually, yeah, it really is what it is. Like, sometimes you can't
it is. Yeah.
fight things.
I think
You
the
can't
Tagalog
change
term
things.
is like bahala na. Or
Bahala
something
na,
like that.
bahala na.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, but
Nah,
you know,
it's like
In your experience with your parents' support, there
Yeah.
was no like, not backlash, but like they didn't try to like fight you or
yeah, I
push
don't.
you further towards what they wanted, or
Right.
like how was that relationship like? If
There
you
was
can,
definitely a discussion. Yeah, I think when in high school, like when it got closer to graduation, there's like evaluation or sort of like a questionnaire that you have to fill out. Like a questionnaire that asks what your parents did and just like asks you about your personality, and it's sort of like this questionnaire. This was back in the '90s, so it's like, you know, you can imagine what kind of
the
questions are
90s.
on this. Yeah, yeah, like it was a different time, so it sort of placed you in somewhere. I don't remember where it were specifically that evaluation or questionnaire placed me, but I think it was like based on like my personality and what I liked. I think entertainment was sort of like the direction it went. My mom was a nurse, and my dad was an engineer technician for a phone company, um and yeah, so like, you know, engineer and nurse, and yeah, yeah, it's like, you know, typical Filipino um,
literally.
professions or whatever. And but I guess based on my
So
personality,
true.
wasn't my path, I guess, or according to that questionnaire. But I already knew since fourth grade that I wanted to get into entertainment. So
What did your parents want you to pursue?
oh yeah, I mean so yeah, going back to that, sorry. Tangents. Yeah, definitely in the medical field. Like, there's discussions. They never pressed it upon me, but I think it was like little sort of like dropping hints here and there, like cousins are nurses. Like, dude, like, yeah, it reminds me of that joke once again. Your cousins are nurses. Your so and so's are nurses. Your aunts and your, you know, uncles are nurses. You know, and then they talk about, like, you know, how well they're doing because of the profession that they're in, and, you know, they try to find ways to entice you into doing that, but never pushy, never forced, you know. At least I don't remember it ever being pressed upon me or forced upon me to like take a certain path, you know. Yeah, that's probably not a likely story, a typical story. But God, I'm thankful. Sometimes
Jay
you
might have something there.
yeah. Okay, go.
Oh, sorry. I think Jay might have
Yeah.
something there with the whole with Igorot values and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, there's definitely that like kind of passive aggressive pushing, kind of like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
look at your cousin, look at your
Yeah.
aunties and uncles, that kind
Right.
of thing. But I think there is definitely
But
something
there's
there with the, you know, the whole thing with Igorot values in terms of like, I think you try to influence your kids, but you can't control
Yeah.
them. You know,
Right.
right,
I think
and
that's the
and that
difference, right?
I've found that consistent, that it's not like I mean, they give you structure, for
Yeah.
sure, and they will generally, what I found is that, you know, give you as much opportunity as possible, but there's a value in helping someone live into their fullness, into their
Yeah.
wholeness, and whatever
Right.
that might be. And gosh, you know, that's another study, see if there is kind of like that value set within our culture. It might be more a
Right.
recent phenomenon, because I mean, obviously we're not no longer in a, you know, hunter gathering and agrarian kind of cultures,
Right.
living in the mountains, kind of isolated and defending ourselves from, you know, next door neighbor trying to headhunt us,
Mhm.
and us headhunting them. So I mean, it is different that way, but at the same time, I think that adaptation, there's something there that that genuinely
Right.
values like who this person is. Because I remember a story when my uncle was growing up. My grandfather and grandmother wanted to pay for his education. He was the smart guy of the family, right? He
Uh-huh.
actually was. He was articulate, and 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 they were saying, "Hey, we want you to go to school. We want you to. You could do a lot of things. You could be a lawyer." My
Right.
uncle said no. He eventually became a police officer. That's what he ended up doing
Okay.
in the Philippines. But
Mhm.
he said no to that. He didn't want to go to school, and so in hindsight, as he in his old age, he said, "Man, you know, perhaps I should have taken that opportunity." But they didn't
Right.
force him
Right.
to do
Right.
that, and they didn't disown him. They honored his judgment, his call,
Yeah.
for where he was going in life, but they offered an opportunity there,
Yeah.
and it was up to him to take it. Now, and I think that's really interesting because as we look at the possibilities, especially younger generations now, because I think that there's more possibility now
Right.
than ever before for younger generations to and beyond our traditional uh, traditional roles in healthcare or
Right.
military or or some sort of engineering.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but at the same time, when you look at generally those kind of roles, well, they offer certain security, upward mobility for sure,
Right.
and we have an long established kind of place in it
Mm-hmm.
that kind of helps when you're looking at like hookups. Because one of the things I think is a little bit more challenging for us, because especially if you go into a field where there's not too many of us, it's all about who you know
Right.
and about those relationships. And oftentimes you have those like ways to send into certain places because there happens to be people there who know of you or look like you, and that's generally a pattern
Yeah.
in trying to build up one's career. Whereas
100.
especially in entertainment, for sure. Oh man, it might be few and far between, and you know someone who knows someone who knows someone.
Right.
So so
I'm taking
for
notes.
me, what well, for me then, I'm really curious how you continue to stay focused and and inspired uh
Mhm.
this place where we might not have too many people in the
Yeah.
business who kind of like who would see you and say, "Yeah, you're the guy," you know. Um
Yeah.
because Bruce Lee's been dead for like, I don't know, 50 years
Exactly.
also. So uh, and it's not like everything's about martial arts either.
Hmm.
So uh and I know that there's different medias. Certainly with the kind of media that's up here today,
Yeah.
with social media and the fact that we're not so dependent on like corporate entities necessarily to find a place in the world. How might that also fit in too? So I'm just wondering about your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Just going back a little bit when you were talking about Igorot parents, the difference between like the way they sort of treated what we wanted to do, or our passions, or like our future. I think you touched upon like the idea of like just the Igorot, the nature of the Igorot to have their their young sort of like fend for themselves, like, oh, that's what you want to do, like that's what you want to do, like, yeah, do it. And it's sort of like teaching us to fend for ourselves, right? And so like to grow, sort of like throwing us in the fire almost. It's like, okay, we'll give you these guidelines and we'll show you like which is gangster and pretty and really badass. And I think that's the difference, like that's why we are who we are. It's just like that fighting nature. It's kind of like it comes from the fact that we're sort of like thrown into the fire, and like we fend for ourselves, like we make our own decisions, and we just sort of like do what we want to do, and we'll learn the lessons through that. But yeah, okay.
No, I like that. I like where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
that I think is very true, and something that's very subtle because
Yeah.
we how you say that there's definitely a leeway. My
Yeah.
experience, and maybe hopefully that'll be my kids' experience too. But that there's a room there to kind of like
Mhm.
grow and fall. And sometimes, especially nowadays, when we
Yeah.
have helicopter parenting all over the place,
Mhm.
and we have to not fall into that trap too. We have to give
Yeah.
the kid room to be able to grow into who they are. Give them the space.
Yeah.
And that's also that I'm finding a little bit of a struggle too, because the culture is going one way where you're giving everyone like little reward trophies for participating now,
Right.
as opposed to merit trophy. Yeah, I earned that because I showed up and I ended up, second place. So I
Yeah.
earned that nice trophy, or I end up first place or something. So
Right.
there's something about that to be able to kind of like go into the fire, grow into who you into your own, but
Yeah.
also know that you're still connected with this
Exactly.
family.
Right. Right.
Yes, that's huge. That's huge. The connection, I think, the
Yeah.
relationship, like you're figuring out ways as a parent to maintain that relationship, and
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's something to learn from all you budding parents out there.
That's very true. I'm sorry. Yeah. Once again, I will also say that I am not a parent, so I can't like speak on that. But I totally 100% understand where you're coming from.
Mm.
I guess I can't say that because I'm not a parent.
Yeah. You're an uncle, right?
But I
So,
but I am an uncle. Yeah, yeah. And you responsibility as a parent, as an older person, a part of the family, to sort of like
Right.
help this young person grow, mold this person, help them grow. And but it's a delicate balance, right? Like allowing them to grow into their own, but also giving them the guidance. So yeah, I mean I guess that's what it's all about. Being a part of a family, being a parent is finding that
So
balance. You know?
yeah, so who gave you your breaks yeah, in entertainment?
Oh man, I still haven't, like, honestly, I still haven't found it. Like
Hmm.
I've found like little things here and there, and I'm super appreciative of all the little things that I've done. And honestly, I don't blame anybody else but myself for that. I could have worked harder, I could have tried harder, but I feel like because of the fact that I came from a place where like entertainment and entertaining people was just a passion. It was never really about the money. And
Mm.
I sort of like, that's why I'm kind of comfortable where I'm at now. I work at 2 restaurants, like to pay my bills, but I'm still doing entertainment things sort of on the side. And I eventually want to like get to a point where it becomes a lucrative thing. Entertainment becomes a lucrative thing. I know like society tells us that we need to have that one thing that makes us money, and that's it or whatever. But I'm trying to like all these different things. I've always been the type of person that does a bunch of stuff, and maybe I should focus. But after all these years, I'm still trying to like try everything. I'm just trying to do everything because that's what I want to do. I will find ways. I will go to the school and I'll find ways to like survive. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I want, and I'm gonna try to find that balance between doing what I'm passionate about, still trying to fulfill my dreams, and working hard to make sure that I am able to live. So I'm sorry. Uh,
Can I throw out a question here?
yeah.
Can you talk about your experiences, like your ups and downs, and
Mhm.
like just tell your story? This might go long, but
Yeah, I
tell
know.
your story about your ups and downs in the as far as your experience
Yeah.
goes, and like what have you been
Mhm.
able to achieve, and
Yeah.
what have you been able to achieve out of the
Mhm.
times where you have failed?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I caught the bug back in like in 4th grade. Um,
Hmm.
it was my 4th grade teacher like was putting on a production of Cinderella.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And there was a list of characters on the chalkboard, not whiteboard.
Wow.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
long ago.
90s, man.
What's
Oh
a
no, sorry,
chalkboard?
80s.
Yeah, yeah.
80s, yeah.
Hmm.
You were Prince Charming?
Oh my gosh, no. Yeah, right. But the very bottom, the very last character was the clock. So yeah, it's weird. Like, yeah. Because I think the teacher wanted to like provide opportunity for as many students in the class. So like she created even,
Free number one.
exactly stuff like that. So she went down the list, and I'm not gonna be all that or whatever. When we came down to like the clock, nobody raised their hand to be the clock, and I was just like, fuck it, okay, raise my hand. I want to be the clock. I want to be the clock. Yeah. So come showtime, it came, my time to shine. I went out on stage with a box over my head with a hole cut out of it, looked like white glove on, and all I had to do was go bong, 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 like 12 times. The clock strike is what I was doing. But in that moment, with like the light shine, I remember this vividly. Light shining down on me, and I could barely see like the first row. I couldn't see anybody else, but I heard like so much laughter. So to me, it was just like, oh man, like I am making this whole crowd of people laugh just by saying one times, like this is crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's just like, it was just like, wow, maybe this is what I want to do. So it's just like, it hit me so hard. Like I'm entertaining people. I'm making people laugh. I'm making people smile. I'm making people happy, just by standing up here on stage or, saying these words. So that was like I guess that was the beginning of it. But of course, like you're young, and back then it was just you just want to have fun. Your school was not good to me because I don't know. I literally think I had learning disabilities growing up. It was really hard to study. I was always drawing in the margins. I was always like, in the back of the class, not paying attention. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Perhaps there were things, that were undiagnosed that I had going on. That made it really hard for me to learn. But all I knew is that I like to have fun. I like to entertain. I like to draw. Art was a huge thing for me in 6th grade. While the teacher was reading, I was like sort of like not paying attention and drawing, and the teacher came up to me and took the paper. She was still reading, and she took the paper from me, and I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble. The next day, I saw that drawing that I had on the bulletin board, and she told the class, okay, the next time I'm reading, everybody take out a blank piece of paper, and you could either like write or draw as I'm reading. I'm like, oh, so that became a thing. Like she nurtured, like she really was like, this is the great teacher, like wanted what she was huge. She was big on art. She was big on theater. She was big on, she was big on that and wanting young people to have a creative side. So that was one thing. So yeah, so it was like art and creativity was always a big thing for me. And then I never really thought about it until like senior year of high school. Took an acting class. This is one of those things that I asked my parents to like shell out some money for. But again, they were supportive about it and shelled out the money for me to and my brother and my younger take an acting class. Clearly there was a discussion about that too. It's like, dude, are you sure? Like you're really like, my dad was just like, you really want to do this? This is something that you're gonna like. We're spending a lot of money. This is something you really want to do. I was like, yes, something I really want to do. So like, yeah. So I took acting class, and this was like high school too. So dance was also a big thing. We were breakers back then. So
that's
like,
right.
Again, art.
Oh yes,
art, yeah. So art and dance were sort of like the foundation.
That was huge. Yeah.
Me drawing in the margins, us doing head spins on like linoleum. That was like it was the springboard into other things. So and then when the acting thing came along, took acting classes. And then when college, and then when it came time to decide my major, broadcasting was a thing. So I had my own radio show when it came time. When college time came around, I was going through the broadcast, video, radio, and television production. had my own college radio station. It was just like it was like a 2-mile radius around campus. That I actually brought a radio and I told my friends, could you tune in and like listen to me during this 1 hour, just so I could say I have listeners, you know.
That's what we're doing now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy because like podcasting is broadcasting, you know. It's so crazy like how things are coming full circle for me too, because I'm like I help out on some podcasts. I'm like a co-producer on some podcasts, and so yeah, you know, in college I was also DJing, I was a rapper, once again I was in that band, I was a drummer, a songwriter. So entertainment has always been and I never really thought about like making it a lucrative career. Like, of course we wanted to, you know, like as a DJ, you want to like make money. And but like for me, like having trouble focusing, like if I would have just stuck to one thing and got really good at that, maybe I would be a famous DJ, maybe famous rapper, or like, you know, a drummer in a band or whatever. But no,
is that advice you would give to a younger you?
Man, maybe it would be. Maybe it would be because I've gone through it. I was the like find different things, but for me personally, I think it was just I wanted to make sure that I found the right one thing, so I just kept different things. So yeah, what happened after that? Okay, yeah, so you know, and I just keep, and after college, I just sort of like fell in and out of the entertainment industry. I would do things here and there. I would audition. You know, I would have anxiety and show up to auditions and not and actually like go back home because I was too scared. Things like that. And then eventually I gave up on it and I took the route of just taking a sort of a semi-safe route. I had an office job, which paid well. This was 2008, so during like there's an economic crisis time, but me being the weirdo that I am, I decided to quit my job and start an apparel company at that time. I don't know. Yeah. I started an apparel company called Attention Clothing, just because it was shortly after my mom passed away, and I was going through some things. I was going through a really bad breakup, and it was just like real, like all these things were just like, oh, what am I doing? I don't know. Maybe that's what sort of like, I don't know. You know how sometimes it takes traumatic things to like sort of like flip a switch, or you know, to make you to finally make some sort of changes in your life or whatever. And I've always been one to just like accept challenges or challenge myself, like to do random things. As long as it challenged me. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to see if I can make this apparel thing happen. It happened for a little bit, you know, minimal success. I was able to survive for a couple years. I partnered with one of the guys that was in my band. He was an artist. Like all the guys in my band are like doing big things now. And it was also for me to like express myself through art and through providing service and providing you know, a product for people to enjoy. That was always a big thing for me. And for it to be attention, it was kind of like attracting attention for good, you know, attracting positive attention, not to like, hey, look at me, but it's like, you know, use your power for good, use your voice for good. So that was the mission behind Attention Clothing, you know. You know, so that lasted for a little while, and through that, a friend of mine hit me up, a friend that I haven't talked to since college. Mind you, this was already like when I started Attention, it was already after college. I already graduated, but I haven't spoken to this person since like maybe college, or I'm sorry, since like high school or something. Like we have mutual. But she was doing this. She was a part of this like geek blog, and they would shoot video. They would cover like Comic-Con and things like that. And she hit me up to print T-shirts for them. And she was like, "Hey, I know it's been a while. Like, I heard you print T-shirts. You think you could print T-shirts for this geek, you know, blog that I do?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I did that. And then she was like, "Hey, you were in entertainment once, right? Do you think you might want to like help co-host some things with me?" And I was like, like so the bug bit again. So I did a few things with them, and then in the bug bit again, just be in front of the camera and to like mess around and to host something. And then from there, there's a festival in here in LA called the Festival of Philippine Arts and Culture, FPAC, which is a huge thing, or it has been a huge thing. I don't think they do it anymore. But they were looking for MCs, and I was like, I want to do it. And they're like, do you have a co-host? And they're like, yeah, that the girl that shout out to Sharon, she was the one that brought me onto that geek blog, and I was like, yeah, so I brought her on to be a co-MC for FPAC. And while we were there at FPAC, I guess we did well enough that we caught the attention of a digital TV channel that I think they really wanted Sharon. And then Sharon was like, I'm not going to do it unless Arnold's a part of it too. Yeah, so they hit.
Loyalty.
Gotta know. Gotta have good friends, right?
Which I love her for. I don't know. I'm guessing that's because they talked to her first. So I'm just saying. So yeah, and so we had a meeting with them, and we ended up hosting essentially it was a television show. It was digital television. You did need an antenna. It was like one of those TV stations that was like point something. So it was like 31.3 was the channel. It was broadcast digitally. So if you had a digital antenna, you could actually watch us. So we had a show called Super Random Report, which was sort of like a geek tech review show, and we did sort of like random things. So that went on for one season, 13 episodes. And I just wanted to continue to like I was just like, yo, this is it, man. Like entertainment is my thing. That ended though. I was just like, oh shoot, what am I gonna do now? So that's when I broke into like the restaurant industry. I had some friends who were a part of who started a company called Soul Sausage Company. Some people might know it because they're sort of made famous because they were on the Great Food Truck Race. They actually won like season. Oh, wow. It was like I think it was back in 2012. So they actually won one season. They opened up a brick and mortar in the west side of Los Angeles, and I was just like, yo, I'm struggling. I'm not doing entertainment anymore. I need help. So they hired me, and I was working in, so that's how I got into like doing restaurant stuff and doing the food thing. I still wanted to do entertainment, which is great with Soul Sausage because they were well connected with like people in the industry. So I got to meet more people in the industry while doing the food thing and while paying my bills. So that was cool. Yeah. The three guys, right?
Are you
my Instagram gets their ads all the time.
It's probably my fault. I'm sorry.
Are you a co-owner or something like that?
No. Okay. So a popular misconception, I think, because I sort of helped open like 3 restaurants that sort of became popular, especially among like Asian American entertainers in LA. Mm-hmm. I helped. I didn't help open the first Soul Sausage store, but I helped open their first full service restaurant in downtown LA. I was their assistant general manager, and then one of the co-sausage opened another restaurant later on in at the old Soul Sausage location, and I was the general manager of that location, and then Hi-Fi Kitchen opened up about a year and a half ago. That happened. Like Hi-Fi Kitchen is in historic Filipino town here in LA. So that happened.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because once again, going through the ups and downs, right? So doing entertainment, not doing entertainment, trying to figure out ways to survive again, and I was once again in a place, another breakup, another trying to figure things out. Another moment where I was just depleting everything. I was, certain amount of depression, and Hi-Fi Kitchen sort of came around at a time when I really needed something, and I saw that the owner, Justin, thankful for him as well for, I saw that he was opening a restaurant. And I saw like it was pretty much him and a few other people just like doing it on their own, and I just hit him up and I was like, yo man, you think you might need some help? And then he later and was like, yeah. so he sort of helped me like get out of this funk again. Around the same time, the director of Super Roundup Report, which was that digital TV show that I was doing, hit me up to like help out on his some podcast that he was doing, Film Creative Voices, and later on Pan Geekery, which is a geek, another geek podcast. So I was once again doing the whole like restaurant and entertainment thing, sort of like juggling the two while trying to stay afloat. Just in general. So yeah, I guess. What else? I guess that's where I'm at now. I got another job at another. Hi-Fi Kitchen is a Filipino American-owned restaurant, and then I also work at Kindness and Mischief Coffee, which is a Filipino-owned coffee shop in Highland Park. So I'm just trying
You're into a lot of things right now.
I know. See, once again. So maybe let this be a lesson to you, children.
It's not bad.
Go
thing.
into
Yeah,
the healthcare industry. No.
Yeah. Go into physical therapy if you have a choice.
No, but here's the thing that I think this is actually this might be akin to certain outliers, and you're one of those kind of people who's an outlier because you could hustle, and this is important. If you're gonna live into your passion, you gotta have some grit. You have to hustle.
Yeah.
I worked 3 jobs to be in ministry.
Okay.
3 jobs: military, school teacher, priest at a church, and that's how I make it come together. Right. Would I have one job if I was a nurse? Yeah, but
right. But would you be completely happy? I don't know. Yeah.
But would I be completely happy? I think that's a good question, Arnold. And because would I?
Exactly.
It's hard to say, like there's things, but because a lot of the beauty about like what you're doing is that you're constantly trying to find ways to express yourself and find things that you can express yourself in.
Yeah.
And I think like you don't have that outlet. A lot of people who don't have that outlet and they're very expressive people and that's what's in their heart. I find that those people fall into modes of depression, anxiety when they don't have outlets, Yeah. And I mean, one of the best things you can do as an artist is, much more frequently, and I think like for people who really do follow their passion, like you said, Jay, you have to have that grit, man. You have to just keep on moving forward, and you got to keep on finding ways to create the hustle so it works.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I think what you're doing is great, and you have delved into comedy. Like,
that's right. Yeah.
So like, can you talk about that experience? I mean, like, an Igorot comedian, that's just wow, like
unheard of. I don't think there are any. Am I the first? Am I the first?
You might be the first one that actually went and did it.
You might be because I know we have a lot of country singers.
That's 100%. Yes,
hey,
for sure.
You might get into country, bro.
Yeah, I'll be a country music comedian.
There you go.
I don't know what is that a thing that could. Yeah, it's so funny. I am now a stand-up comedian. Speaking of anxiety, depression, and comedians, try to find outlets and ways of expression. And none of this has been funny. I apologize. No, but so I guess that's where the road led me to, right? Once again, trying to do almost everything in entertainment for some reason and seeing what sticks. But for stand-up comedy, it's something that I have been wanting to do for like over a decade. I've talked about for a long time, but I haven't really started writing things until like maybe 5 years ago. But even then, I didn't actually dive into it until the end of last year, pre-COVID, right before COVID hit. I think November was my first show, like right around my birthday in November. I had my very first show, and I fell in love once again. Fell in love with it. You guys remember me from back in the day, like always.
Oh yeah, man.
Trying hard to make people laugh for some reason. Always trying to. I always had a video camera on me, and I was always shooting stuff. And Yeah, it was just
Yeah, that's right. I
Yeah, yeah.
remember that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that fully.
Yeah. I always had my dad's Sony Handycam, and I was just shooting things, and I was just just like creating stories on the fly and just making my friends act. It was fun. Yeah. So yeah, stand up comedy. It was always just making people laugh in general, making people laugh and smile, and I guess that was like my whole thing, and that was always the main thing for me. It was just like, how can I, like, that was like one of my missions, one of my goals is like, I want to make as many people laugh or smile as possible before I die. And then it later, like, what legacy am I gonna leave? That became the main thing. It's just like, what kind of legacy am I gonna leave behind for future generations? Like, if I don't have kids of my own, I'm already getting to that age. I know you asked me how old I was, and I dodged that question, but that's fine. What sort of like lessons or what can my story like teach or show other people, or what kind of impact can I leave on this world when I die?
Right.
So that's like sort of like my drive for everything, my motivation for everything right now. It might change later on, but yeah. So stand-up comedy, yeah. So it's like entertainment. Like, that's why entertainment has always been a thing. Even with food, it's like I am providing sustenance for people. I am, food is joy for a lot of people, especially with this new foodie culture, Filipino food movement. It's like,
That's right.
food is art as well. It's a culinary art. So I mean, like, once again, it's just art, entertainment. Feeding people is entertainment. So it all goes hand in hand. It all comes together, and that's like really what it all comes down to. And that's, yeah, I guess that's
the essence of it all, right?
the essence of it all is like entertainment, like making people happy, I guess. Yeah. And when I'm long gone, like, what sort of stories will be told about like what I've done? How what kind of a positive impact will I leave on this world for future generations? My niece and nephew, like, what will they have learned about my life, about their uncle? I've never been one. I think that's one reason why for as long as I've been in the entertainment industry, like, that's one reason why nothing has ever really happened for me, is because it's never been about, maybe it's about time. It's never been about, like, making the money or becoming famous.
Right.
I think now I'm like, again, I don't know, maybe sort of becoming motivation now. I want to be able to sustain myself while doing this thing that I'm passionate about. Finally, yeah, and a big part of that is because I've never been one to. Maybe my close friends will disagree with me, because I'm so loud and obnoxious, but I'm really bad at promoting myself, and until recently, until more recently, I've been, it's very hard for me to, like, even post a picture of myself, and and that's what, as entertainers, that's what we need to do. We need to promote ourselves. Like, we need to market ourselves as if we are a business, as if we are a product. I know that sounds bad, but technically, if we want to sustain ourselves as entertainers, we need to promote the shit out of ourselves. We need to talk about it. Yeah. And I think that was always my problem. Yeah. And it was never able until recently. Yeah. And that's why I'm talking I think right now.
I think that you also hit on something that's very common amongst, like, Asian people. That we have a certain value about humility.
Yeah.
That sometimes doesn't help us get over the top. Like, you'll have, like, the less skilled white person get the job. I was like, dude, well, I mean, grade wise, I'm better. I know more, and but another person, because they're willing to talk, they're willing to self-promote all the time. It's part of the culture. They learn this. And I remember one of the things that I was going through in an ordination process when I was looking when I was going through a call process with one of the churches, is that I didn't talk enough. I was waiting for people to ask me the questions, and then I would form my thoughts around that.
Right.
They wanted someone who would be self-promoting and tell them who you are.
Yeah.
And it's only until afterwards, like, hey, what happened in that process? I'm just wondering, what I needed to do to improve. Oh yeah, that's because you didn't talk to. Whereas the person next
Yeah.
who did get that call, well, they
Yeah.
were very much a self promoter.
100%.
Was I more qualified in my heart? Yeah, I thought so. But
Mhm.
how do people
That's it.
know unless you learn that? But see, here's the thing, and this is where sometimes like our culture doesn't jive with Western culture as much, because that idea of self promotion doesn't come necessarily naturally in the way that we were brought up and within our
Yeah.
DNA.
Yes. Yes.
But because we
100%.
live here,
Yeah.
Mhm.
we have to be our own self promoter as opposed to
Exactly.
having a hype person
Yeah.
who does it with
Yeah.
us, and so
Right.
it is different.
Right.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
Rex Navarrete. You'd always
Mm.
joke. He's another comedian, Filipino American
Yeah.
comedian.
Yeah.
He'd always joke and
OG.
like about his uncles and aunties saying, "Oh, so you think you're somebody, huh?" That's like
Exactly.
so. So
All
there's that
right.
thing, like just being just Filipino in general. It's like you
Yeah.
get that thing where it's in Asian, like when there's a nail, you want to knock it down and stuff because
Yeah.
you shouldn't be sticking out, right? You
Right.
shouldn't
Right.
be sticking out. And the problem, like you
Yeah.
said, is that amongst Asians, we don't toot our horn enough, and
Yeah.
that's something that our ethnic studies teacher
Mhm.
in our class at San Francisco State would talk about. He would say, like,
Oh,
the thing about Filipino Americans in general, or just Filipinos in general abroad, is that we are very adaptable. So we can
Yeah.
go into the diaspora away from the Philippines and just
Yeah.
adapt as much as possible, And the only issue is that, of course, yeah, we are humble people, but when you're trying to mix in the Western culture, when it comes to like advancing yourself, if
Yeah.
you're not tooting your horn, um, there's it doesn't they just think that you're quiet and passive.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things, like one of the adaptations that we haven't adjusted to is to be able to still be humble, understand that just because you're talking about yourself or promoting yourself in a certain way doesn't mean that you're not being humble. In your heart, you're not humble. Of course, in your
Mhm.
heart, you're humble.
Right.
But then to promote yourself, you gotta toot your horn. You
Mhm.
gotta come out there. And again, the overall thing is probably why amongst Asian Americans, we're just not out there enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the entertainment industry, and
well, in media
gosh,
culture for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
yeah, media
that's
culture, yeah.
100%. Yeah. I mean, like, that's the reason why it's been slow going for Asian Americans in entertainment, because it's like we've been knocked down. Like, we've been told to stay quiet. Right.
This is including the Canadians too, right? So
What's that? Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
There's honestly no difference.
Yeah. Everyone.
North Americans here.
Yeah.
everyone around the world, all the
Right.
Asians around the world.
All the yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Asians everywhere. Yeah. Yeah, and there perhaps there weren't enough who. Yeah, it's all these different reasons, right? We were told to go a certain route. We were told to be quiet. Yeah, like Rex said, oh, you think you're somebody, and then you're just like, oh gosh, I guess I'm not. I guess I'll just stick. So what's safe? No.
Yeah.
But I think more so now, and I think that's why it's becoming a thing, is because more and more Asians are like, nah, I want to do that too. I want to see that. Like, I saw that back in the day, once again, when I saw, Ernie Reyes and Dante Bosco and
Oh yeah, man.
yeah, and it was kind of like that, back then. It's just like, yo, I see them like that. Yeah. So it's eventually going to get to that point, and I think a big part of it has to do with the general public getting used to seeing these faces.
Yeah.
Right.
In this, the culture of normalizing everything, which I think is dope. Like, yo, all these things that were stigmatized back in the day, like, yo, let's get rid of that shit and let's normalize, because we do not all think the same way. Like, for society to tell us that we all need to think a specific certain way and life needs to be a specific certain way. It's like, nah, no, it doesn't. Like, we all individual people that think differently. We process things differently. And I think the reason why Hollywood is and the entertainment industry is black and white, because that's all we are used to seeing. So now, if there's more and more people of color showing their faces to be in the industry and writing the stories and creating the films and like working behind the scenes, it'll become more normal for the rest of society to see these faces and be like, yo, that's Brad motherfucking Pitt, or like, you know, like that's Arnold Basingan right there. Like, I know that dude, and I can pronounce his last name correctly. You know, it's like that. Getting a little bit angry.
Basingan.
I'm gonna, yeah.
Can I get an autograph? Promo photo?
Oh man, sure. I'm not kidding. Yeah, I know. One day when it will be worth something. But this is what we're working towards. It's happening. Parasite, Aquafina, Joker.
Right.
It's happening. I want to thank YouTube as well, because there are like a lot of these OG YouTubers. The top 10 YouTubers back in the day were all like Asians, so them were like sort of pushing this forward and pushing the movement. It's once again slow going, little baby steps, but eventually it's gonna get there. We can't be discouraged. We gotta make noise. We gotta like turn that neon sign on. We gotta be loud. It's so funny, like speaking about Igorots, like we bang gongs, you know what I'm saying? Like we make noise.
We make noise. Yeah.
We dance, we flail our arms around, and it's like we'll do that amongst ourselves. But like, yo, if we want to like really be, become known and make a difference and be a positive influence in the rest of the world, we gotta talk about it. So we gotta make noise. We gotta shine our light. And yeah, that's one thing I'm learning too. Yeah, I'm gonna be straight up. Like, I still have a lot to learn. Like, I was BIBAK LA was a huge part of my life growing up. Clearly, like my dad was the president and all that, and I learned so much. But I'll be completely honest. I almost feel like because of all the struggles that I've been going through, not to use it as an excuse, but it's sort of like pushed me away. Learning about myself, learning like my culture, like I, as much as I used to dance, and bang the gongs, when I was younger, it's just like, I don't know, man. But I want to get back to that place. BIBAK LA is coming back, or they're back, and they're
right.
Yeah. So I want to be.
It's being brought up by like a younger generation now. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like mostly
pretty much our generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I hope that you recognize that, like, what an influence your generation, like, well, we're the same generation, but like your group in LA had amongst all the BIBAKs all over the nation. Like that BIBAK LA was so influential.
Yeah.
And then to see like another group of young folks dancing, that gave us pride too up north.
Right.
Even though you guys are down south, when you guys would come and perform with us, it was like, man, it was to see you guys in critical mass. That was for us, like my cousins and everybody else who was in our BIBAK, our age, when we were all teenagers, to see you guys in mass, and it was like, oh man, yeah, we could do that too.
Right.
So that influence was really huge, and you think about like the first IIC back in 1995 being in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that was
what you did the art promo for.
Yes.
Yeah, you did the art promo, right, Arnold?
I did what?
You did the art promo for that, right?
Oh yeah. The artwork for
you did.
Yeah. It was in collaboration with other people, but that artwork. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you're right. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah.
Yeah. But that first, I don't know if you remember, because you've been out of it for a bit, but like that first BIBAK had so much influence back home in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And because of that BIBAK, that folks reintegrated.
They dance over there now.
Yeah, they reintegrated the cultural dances back into the schools.
No
And
way.
so what you see now is like there's a huge pride in the Philippines
Right.
compared to what we saw like maybe in the 80s and 90s where
Right.
people were kind of hiding who they were.
Mhm.
But it was because of all that things have changed in the last since the
Right.
90s, you know?
No,
And
that's
that's
because
like
you know they
huge.
started
And you
looking at
guys were a big part of that, you know?
yeah, it was huge. It was huge. 'Cause they would look at all those youngsters over there. It's like, what the heck? How come they know how to do this and we don't over here?
Right.
And that was huge. That was really big. But it definitely it set a template for us because if we look at like for example the BIBAK in Northern California now and who
Right.
a lot of the youngsters doing the dances they're the generation they're the millennials now doing that stuff and that's really fascinating seeing them at least being very interested in
Yeah.
leading the way and also knowing the dances that we had to learn from the old folks. So we learned
Exactly.
it from the old folks, and that's even
Yeah.
harder to extract, I think, because like the old folks would just say, "Here, come, follow." Let's
Yeah,
follow
yeah,
this."
yeah. Right, right.
And then you're like, "Oh my gosh!" And so that knowledge that's extracted from what we all learn now
Mhm.
gets passed down to another generation, and they will teach these kids who will be born somewhere in North America.
Yes.
Or,
Or in
outside of the
Europe,
Philippines,
Including Canada.
or in Europe,
yeah.
they will learn these dances as
Mhm.
part of who they are, and then playing the gongs. But they'll
Yeah.
also hear stories of outliers, of Igorots who've done certain things that are wow. I
Yeah.
never thought I could do that. And those stories are very important because
Right.
it's part of our it's part of our collective story. It's part of our collective narrative. And so
Right.
what you have done is become a pioneer for that, I believe. Uh
Yeah, you
and
guys were part of that
and
early
you're
group,
not
man.
done yet because you're
Yeah.
kind of youngish in our
Young,
generation. You're on the
youngish,
young
yeah.
Or at
end,
least you look really
I
young.
you know.
Exactly.
You're not
Yeah.
I look at my retirement and say,
You
wow, I
guys
only got
look
that
young
much
too.
more
You guys.
year.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
It's the
You
makeup.
guys
it's the
still
makeup.
look. Yeah.
Kuya Jay.
But
Manong
still
Jay.
there's a lot of story there
Right.
to create, and I think that's the blessing of it too. So I'm just really amazed by your story, but also very much in your own grit, your ability to stick with it,
Yeah.
to go above and beyond, to keep on hustling. And I think that's important because a lot of times, especially with younger generations, you see all of these reports about younger generations being a little bit more fragile because they
Yeah.
have certain like
Right.
expectations of what life
Mhm.
would be, like their or
A little
entitlement. Now, I
entitled.
don't know if
Right,
that's
right, right.
entirely true,
Maybe
but
partial.
I think yeah, but but I think that also makes people generally weaker because then you start thinking, oh, that should be my life should look like this, you know.
Right.
But reality is that there's an element of taking responsibility and
Yeah.
also working at it, hustling at it,
Mhm. Yeah.
to be able to create your success. And I do believe that if the more options that you have, well, that is a definition for success.
Right.
That opens more pathways to kind of create that for yourself and also inspire others.
Yeah. I think so. It's definitely created more like possibly more struggle, but I feel like like balance in everything, right? You got to find everything, you know. So take the good or the bad. Go, oh yeah, I guess it all goes back to just like leaving that legacy, you know, having the motivation to like leave something behind for the next generation. When we're talking about BIBAK and the generation sort of like coming up and doing that, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about leaving a legacy. Like, what are you teaching the younger generation? Do you want our culture to continue on? Then like let's teach the young, let's teach the young minds, and then once they can become old enough, they can do whatever they want. It just like me wanting to go into entertainment. And also talking about like how we might say that this is a weaker generation, but these are different times, and like comparison culture is a real fucking thing, and like social media is really it's making it harder for the younger generation to like really be their true self, or like or perhaps I mean I might be I don't want to generalize, like, but when you hear stories about that, it's just like they're with social media always comparing themselves to each other, and I struggle that myself, like being as old as I am, like, but also being addicted to social media. It's kind of like, you can't help but compare yourself to other people, but you have to find that balance and be like, no, I come from a time like I went through the struggle. I'm not gonna waste that. I'm not gonna, like I survived the struggle, and I am appreciative of that, and I'm not gonna waste that experience journey that I was on, comparing myself to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? This person didn't walk in my shoes, and I'm alive, and I am where I am now because of that struggle, and I'm not gonna waste that because I wish I had what this other person had. No, fuck that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, comparison, yeah, it's balance. It's a tool, social media is a tool. Like, once again, when we're talking about making noise for ourselves, making ourselves known, social media helps in that way. But also it can be a hindrance. It can be, but we just have to think. We have to think for ourselves. We have to know what we want, and we have to like challenge everything and just be and do what we want. At the end of the day, be and do what you want to be and do. And that's another thing. I just want to help us like share. Like, I want to help us share our voice as well. Like, I want to help people. Like, I do social media for those other or for the other podcasts that I worked on. I did social media as well. So it's just like it was really a huge thing for me to like help spread the word, and and it makes it even harder when you're not really getting paid for it. Like, let's be real. We wish it was a lucrative thing, and but just like how when I got my start, it was never about that. We do it for the passion. We do it because we want to, like the current, like, we get paid when we know that somebody was positively affected by the work that we do, right?
Yeah, labor of love.
Labor of love, yeah.
Amen.
For sure. Yeah.
Amen. I mean, I do believe where God guides, God provides.
Mhm.
And certainly there's been other avenues that have like at least been able to pay the bills.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
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 Hey, I'm wondering what might be like your focus in your comedy.
Mhm.
I've only seen like
Yeah,
brief
what is your focus?
sketches, so
Yeah.
but I haven't had the opportunity to see like what your show's formed around.
Yeah, you know what? Like I said, I only started it November of last year. I've only done a handful of shows. I've done maybe 4 live in-person shows, and then when COVID hit, I did one Zoom show.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like literally just brand new baby at this. So I'm still trying to figure it out, but the majority of what I've done so far have been about relationships, romantic relationships, and the struggles with that. I think me struggling with I guess getting out there and sort of
So do you talk to
myself
the
and
exes then? Would they say, "Hey, I'm gonna talk about you in my show"?
no,
I'm
I
kinda
don't.
curious about that.
Never specifics. Like, I never mention names. But yeah. It's like it's sort of no. Yeah, it is.
I
It
could
is.
give you some
No.
material.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we all go through it, and it's relatable. Everybody's gone through it. Everyone's gone through that struggle to relate. Like, whether it's all kinds of relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, family relationships. Like, it's all relatable, and um, you know, I eventually want to get to a point I like what Joko is doing, where he's making Filipino stories sort of like digestible to a wider audience. So that's
A
cool.
wider audience, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, whiter audience.
I didn't say
Oh
that.
yeah, that's why you said that. Okay. Well, what I meant was wider,
Wider.
which is to include the whiter as well as
Yes, exactly.
darker audience.
I do remember. So when Rex Navarrete did he did a big old comedy thing at one of our theaters in at San Francisco State, and then I remember I was sitting next to some. I guess I don't know. People who live down the street who are living in the dorms just want to go see something, right? So there was like this whole group of white girls, and of course most of his jokes were like Filipino focused, and just like almost like inside cultural jokes. And I remember I would look over just to see if they're laughing or not, and like I would say like half the things they were laughing about probably because we were just laughing crazily.
Yeah.
But then most of it, they're like, huh? Like what?
Yeah,
because they just couldn't understand the cultural references,
Right.
But
like, why is he making fun of nurses?
Yeah.
Why? That's a good job.
Yeah, I know.
And it's funny.
But there is no doubt that Jokoi has kind of made it a little bit more helping. It's almost like he's helping people understand the cultural references.
Right. And I think what's helping him during this time as well is I think more and more people are more familiar with Filipino.
Yeah, that too.
I think more and more so now more people have Filipino friends. I don't know why it's happening, but here's why. It's because we are starting to make more noise, right? We are starting to promote ourselves more. We are starting to and this is the reason why the whole representation matters movement is happening, is because Americans, Igorots and Asian Americans are starting to make noise. We're starting to make our voices heard. We want our voices to be heard. We want our stories to be heard. That's why more people are getting familiar with who we are.
Right. You know what Filipinos need though? We need our own Slumdog Millionaire thing, man.
Yeah.
Because if you notice amongst the Asians, I mean, Filipinos have been around in California for a long time, but if you notice in media, East Asians have been making it big, all of a sudden, that Slumdog Millionaire movie opened it up in Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason why Slumdog was big is because in India, they have their own Hollywood.
That's true.
It was kind of what's happening right now is Korea's doing a popping off right now. It's big. They got their own thing. Same with Bollywood. They got their own thing out in East Asia. But Slumdog Millionaire it was kind of like a foot in the door kind of thing. But they've existed independently, and the Slumdog kind of just made it explode. But the difference between Filipinos and Koreans is there isn't really a homogenous Filipino entertainment that's as big as the Korean. No. I mean, not as popular.
Not in the mainstream, not in the worldwide scene. Yeah, but we definitely have our own
quality
thing.
But it's interesting.
Qualities.
It's interesting though, because the more I speak to my artistic friends, those in the photo wedding industry, photo video industry, the Philippines is huge, and yet there isn't that big that the entertainment industry and the whole art industry isn't as unified at the moment. Is what I'm saying. So I don't know.
Okay.
It's probably because there's too much corruption.
I mean, that's where you come in, Arnold. That's where you come in.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we're trying to do. I think that's what happened with Slumdog. I think that's what happened with Parasite. It's just it's the story though. That's when you watch Slumdog, I was like, yo, this is dope. And just the way it was shot.
It was, yeah.
The way, and same thing with Parasite. It's like, yo. Not gonna lie, Filipinos need to get on that level. You know what I'm saying?
There's been some pretty good stuff though, man. That's been coming out lately.
I'm not saying it's trash. It's all trash, but it's we need that like, and maybe it's I don't know, luck. Maybe it's maybe we need to make more noise. We need to be loud. I think what it comes down to is the story.
You're right.
I think that we still have
The
a very
people
much
behind
a karaoke culture.
Mhm.
Like, how is it that the Koreans are better at us at dancing? I don't
No,
understand.
no, 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 no. Let's not go there.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I
We're good at dancing,
with
to
the
be sure.
words,
But
we've
well,
always been
come on.
neck and neck. We've always been neck and neck.
What is this?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Let's
come
talk
on.
about Seoul, guys. Come on. Not Seoul Korea.
Yeah, but
I'm
they,
just
they
talking about
get
Seoul
pop
the
music.
movement. You know what I'm saying?
They
Like,
get pop music now. Like, how come our
yeah.
children are listening to BTS and we
Right.
got? I mean,
that's a rough one to swallow, man. That is a
who
rough
do
one
we
to
have,
swallow.
man? I mean, we have Freddie
That's true.
Aguilar, man. Come
That's
on,
true.
that's like from the
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah.
And that's some serious stuff when you listen to that
Right.
dude. I mean,
I have that on vinyl here somewhere. I'm gonna find it.
yeah, right. I mean, some of our stuff is. I mean, gosh, why? I mean, how do they get
Give me
the
one second.
corner on the pop music?
No, but Gerald had a
that to
point though.
me-
Gerald just said that they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
Koreans have factories. They know how to organize in a certain way, and it's almost like they have boy band factories, and they have like they have
They
I
have
don't know
boy
what they
band
call them,
factories?
but like
Really?
they have a formula. Yeah.
Oh wow! Like, I mean,
Oh, there you go.
oh my gosh! There you go! Wow!
Oh my
You got
God,
in
Freddie,
vinyl.
yeah, there you go. I mean, the
There you
70s was
go.
they say that was a
Dude, I'm
golden
saying,
time
that's
for a lot
yeah.
of the folk artists in the Philippines and the
Yeah,
pop artists.
yeah.
Like the 70s was
Yeah.
huge for in the Philippine
Mm-hmm.
international market in terms of like Filipinos making it, like
Oh yeah,
hot
and we
dog
also
and
had
all
the
those
Mm.
disco scene too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think
Uh,
so.
Pop was really
Yeah.
big.
What VTS? What the V?
You're the new thing, Jay. Get used to it. I hate them too. But,
Yeah.
it's the new thing, dude. You can't fight it.
Yeah, I mean,
But going back-
I know. I'm listening to that music now because eventually my daughter will start listening to that. I was like, I mean, we went into like the mall. And it's like, what do you see there? It's like a big poster of BTS there. It's like, dude, wow. I don't even know their
Mm.
songs, but they're like
the
they have a
Korean
massive
marketing
poster in a mall.
is really
in
yeah
the
the Korean
United
marketing
States.
and the way that they organize themselves is really really good. And in the Philippine market, I saw I was reading this article between they call it K-drama, right? Like all the Korean dramas,
Oh, yeah.
and then
Right.
they call the F drama, Filipino dramas, right?
Yeah.
And they said like the common theme, like with the K-dramas, is that I guess for the wider market, it's kind of easier to swallow because like they're more wholesome. They talk about like it's more wholesome and cutesy,
Okay.
and versus
Oh
like
yeah,
Filipino drama.
hella
It's like
drama.
the K drama is more cheesy, I guess, but it's like people enjoy it and they enjoy
Right.
that formula that they have. Well, like in the Filipino side, like in the Philippines, they do a lot of like, man, it's like there's always a guy who's cheating. There's always
Yeah.
like
There's always
maybe
a rape scene. Really? Why do we need that? I
Right.
mean, that's just
Yeah,
awful.
and there's
I
always
see.
someone who's
revenge
being
motive.
abused and shit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so
It's
Yeah.
always
in the article was like that's the reason
Oh.
why maybe audiences tend to lean towards K dramas because of the certain values that they have and what they show and what they don't show.
That makes
You
sense.
know?
and we got an
versus
excessive
like,
amount of crying, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
trust me, the
excessive
Korean
amount of
dramas are
crying.
filled with crying, man. The Korean dramas are filled with crying, but like
It's not. It's
the
subtle.
Filipino dramas have it too.
Filipino,
was that?
Oh my god. Yeah, no.
But ours is overt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ours is like wailing.
We were part of like a theater production type thing that happens every year, and the biggest part, the most dramatic part was when they were crying over Jose Rizal's body or something like that. Or,
Oh,
like
yeah.
it went on for like 5 minutes, and that was the
Wow.
best act.
Really?
That was they were pushing as a pickup. So Arnold, when you're acting,
No, I think that's another thing too. The performance, right? The performance is also a big thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, OA. There's a reason why OA is a thing. It's because we tend to do it. Maybe, perhaps. Overacting for those.
Yeah,
Overacting.
OA
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
exactly.
OA.
Yeah, yeah, and that might be another reason why we haven't gotten that break. Maybe like number one, the story, maybe the performance, and also if is the story relatable. Well, it doesn't have to be relatable, right? But I think for like, when you talk dramas, maybe it's more easily digestible and more relatable, and that's why people sort of latch onto that as opposed to F drama. Is that what it's called, F drama?
F drama, or
Yeah.
is it P drama or F drama? I
Or
don't.
P drama,
Depending
I
if
don't
they're
know.
using the F or P, I can't
Yeah,
remember.
that's true.
So in terms of Filipino movies, I don't know if I've come across ones that I actually really like. A lot of them I feel like are a bit too cheesy or, again, overacted. But are there any that you think you could recommend for me or anybody else to watch or check out?
Dude, yeah, watch Yellow Rose. It's not from the Philippines. I think the director is Filipino American, and the lead role is Filipina American. She's like a Broadway star right now. Lea Salonga's in it as well, but very well
Oh, nice.
very well
My
acted.
favorite.
Yellow Rose. Oh, Lea.
I'm trying to find the name of that movie, man. Genero Luna is one of them.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that one talks about Luna, General Luna, and
Mhm.
then there was another film I saw. There's some good ones on Netflix. I can't. I've been trying. I'm googling it, trying to find the name right now. But it's about an eagle. Yeah, there's some on Netflix. You just type in Filipino movies, and there's
Yeah,
some
there's a lot.
dramas.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah.
And then there's another one
Wow.
that just came out about this old lady who wants to die, and I can't remember these names, man, but they're actually pretty
Okay.
decent. Those last two, the one I was talking
Okay.
about with the
Yeah,
eagle,
yeah.
and I'll try and Google it as we're
I'll
talking.
check it out.
If I can find
Yeah.
it. Yeah, they're actually pretty decently acted, and
Mhm.
the reason that they're really cool though is because they're very Filipino in the sense that like they just they film them from the vantage point of where they're at, and most of them they're
Yeah.
just living in the in the villages and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
it's
got
not
you.
like they're not faking who they are. They're not living in the city. These are people who just living out in the countryside, in the province. And so
Yeah.
that's what's nice about these stories, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But God,
Okay,
if I can
check
find the
that out.
name
Yeah,
real quick, one's gonna
check that out.
drive me nuts.
Dude, that's an idea for a Twitch stream, I think. I'm gonna do like watch parties of like Filipino movies.
Yeah, man. Why not?
Like reaction
great.
videos. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, put them
that
out there
would- that
just to
would be
kind of get,
interesting.
Yeah,
because that would at least get them out there to
that's true.
you know, one of the OG ones, dude. If you can watch this movie called Perfume Nightmare by Kid Lock.
Okay.
Oh my lord.
Okay.
Yeah, Kid Lock one's about like
Kid Lock.
this is old school, man. This is
Oh,
old school.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is about
yeah.
colonization of the Philippines. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's the whole movie in itself is like just all symbolism.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Oh shoot.
Yeah,
Okay.
that it'll kind of. Don't be high when you watch it.
Yeah, okay.
Because
Oh,
it's kind of out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he also brings a jeepney to America too, which is kind of like wacky. There's
Wow.
a scene in there
Yeah.
in that where he brings it, but it's
That's
a lot
cool.
of symbolism about
Okay.
like when this film came out in the 70s, late 70s,
Late 70s, yeah.
but
Yeah,
it's a
Kid Lock
reference
looks like he
to
just came out of the 70s.
yeah,
He has
yeah,
a long
yeah.
hair and stuff. Yeah,
Definitely
okay.
old school.
Yeah. That's a classic film.
Mm.
I have it here on
Bontok
VHS
Eulogy is
somewhere.
another good one.
Oh, that's
Bontok
the
Eulogy.
documentary.
Man, I got it.
You've probably seen that one. That would be a good
I
one
gotta
if you're doing reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. For sure. I'll definitely hit you
There's
up.
there's another decent documentary called I think Walang Rape sa Buntok or something like that, right?
Oh wow.
It's a documentary about like no rape in Buntok, you know, from a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And what is it about Igorot culture that kind of has prevented it from happening in Buntok for so long?
If you do it, you get your head chopped off.
Head hunting.
That's part of it. That's
You know what I'm
part of
saying?
it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, people have to recognize, you know, in our culture, that was part of what kept order.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
like,
100%.
you get your head chopped off, man.
Yeah.
You come to our
you're
place
the
and you mess
bullgun
with us.
guy. Oh
Those
man,
are the times.
The bull gun.
yeah. You want to do that? Then
Yeah.
man, it's not a good idea. Not a good idea.
lose all the heads, you know. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I think there's quite a
Oh,
few
gosh.
Imelda documentaries out there too. I think she fascinates
Oh
people.
God.
Yeah, I think
Right?
so.
There's one that wasn't there
It's the
one that
shoes,
was
man.
supposed to come out on Netflix?
The OG sneakerhead. I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
The what?
Yeah.
There's
I said the
there's
OG.
another more recent Imelda documentary
Yeah.
that's come out.
Yeah.
Um,
I forget what it's called, but yeah, I
and I
think
know there was one in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
There was a documentary about Imelda then, but I thought that there was another one
I think
that's
there was a
much more
stage
recent.
production too.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There was.
She
Yeah.
Stage production. What the hell?
What about her is
I-
fascinating? Like not Marcos, it's about Imelda.
Yeah,
Besides,
I think it was about her specifically. I don't know.
why?
Oh,
think
guys,
it's-
I don't know.
guys, sorry, I got the names. I got the names for those two movies I was talking
All
about.
right. Cool.
They're on both on Netflix.
All
The
right.
one is called Lola Igna.
Oh yeah, I
then-
just saw that.
Yeah, that was pretty good, right? It was kind of a mix between it was a
didn't watch
drama and what's that? You just watched it?
No, I didn't watch it,
You-
but I just saw it. I just saw it. Like it
Oh
looks.
yeah,
it looks
yeah.
cool,
And,
though.
and Birdshot. Birdshot's the other one.
Birdshot. Oh, that was yeah.
Yeah. Those two I thought were pretty good.
But the same guy who did Birdshot, I think he did a horror film as well. That's also on Netflix. I just shook my head. It was like every single horror trope in a well shot, but it was just like trying to jump scare you. It was cool. It was cool to see.
Oh,
But yeah, but I heard good things about Birdshot though, so I'm gonna check out Birdshot for sure.
Oh, I want to track
Did
that.
he take the ideas of the Aswang or something like that and just
It was something. There was definitely a long-haired girl, you know, with her face covered, pale.
Oh, okay. I see
One
what
of
you're
those.
saying.
Yeah.
A
Stuff
lot
like
of
that.
Japanese Korean influence.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right. Yeah, but it was entertaining. I'll tell you that much. But check out these other ones. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to like do like.
Oh yeah, I mean these would be great to
use
kind of like just
movie
lift up,
reviews,
right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like push it out there.
We should do a reaction video on it.
Yeah, for sure. Reaction, dude, that'd be funny.
Well, that was what I was talking
Yeah.
about. Like just do reaction videos on some of the Filipino movies out there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
to kind of,
yeah.
that would be cool.
Get more exposure for them, and you know.
We'll
Have you
lift
ever?
up our own
Did
stuff.
you ever
Great,
get
yeah.
into like? 'Cause you were like making little small family films and stuff, but did you ever think about like actually getting into film, like just like
Yeah, like-
directing or making
Like
your own
directing my own.
stories?
Dude, it's crazy, man. Everybody that I know who sort of did what I did, as far as like taking their dad's camcorder and just randomly with their friends when they were kids, they're like a lot of them are actual makers now, and I'm just like, why didn't I, take that route? But I think honestly, it just comes from like me wanting to do everything else, getting distracted by other things, getting distracted by wanting to be a DJ and a rapper and a songwriter and a drummer and a radio host and an actor, So it's just like, yeah, I couldn't focus on that one thing. Maybe that was, I don't know, that was one of the first things that I wanted it that I was doing for fun, but it just never didn't stick. Yeah. I enjoyed it when I did it when I was younger. but now I'm working with these with filmmakers, and I'm friends with a lot of them, and it's still there. Maybe I will. I want to write something for sure. I want to write I don't know, a story about my own experiences, maybe, or loosely based on.
That would be awesome. That's
Yeah.
the Filipino, like the second generation Filipino experience, or just the any
Yeah.
Filipino experience in the diaspora, Igorot
Right.
experience. That's
Right.
like something that needs to be out there, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think that story's been
There's
told, man.
definitely no, not at all.
Yeah.
And even myself, I've been thinking about writing just a biography kind of thing, just to
Yeah,
talk about second generation experience, or at least mine. You know what I mean?
dude, that's
But
awesome.
like Dude, that's just a thought though. I haven't actually gone
Yeah,
down to
yeah, for sure. But I know why. I mean, like, also you're a dad, and I'm sure you're thinking about your kids as well. Like, you want your kids to know your your story as well, and
Yeah, there's a legacy component to that. I
yeah,
think
yeah. There's
everybody kind
that.
of wants to have that.
Yeah, yeah. So there's that. But
Yeah.
I want to write something. I just want to create. That's.
What projects do you have brewing now?
Oh, so so that podcast that I was talking about, Pan Geekery, I was a stage manager when we were actually shooting on set. I also helped out with social media, and I'm like a co-producer as well. We're coming back for the second half of our second season on the 24th. So you can,
Wow.
yeah. So that streams every month. That's going to start streaming again on Mondays on Twitch. It's a twitch.tv/pangeekery. It's a geek podcast. We talk about all things geek from an all diverse perspective. The hosts are all Asian American, and yeah,
That's
geek
awesome.
stuff. Yeah, they dive deep into like anything geek, everything, video games, film, TV, comic books, all that. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, and we also I'm working with so the director of that podcast also happens to be the director of Super Random Report, which was, if you remember that show that digital TV show that he's also the director of that, yeah. So he is spearheading what will be the second live stream fundraiser called Strengthen Community. I say so like back in 2012, I spearheaded one when I was still working with that digital Filipino television station to benefit Typhoon Haiyan when that happened.
Okay.
Yeah, and so this time around, I had him. His name's Rodney Cahuto. He's like, I've worked with him a lot. So I had him direct that first one back in 2012, and like he hit me up for the second one that he wanted to do to benefit Filipino Americans and Black Indigenous people of color directly affected by COVID-19. So that is going to happen on August 29th. It's a live stream telethon. I don't know how long it's going to be yet. I think we're still talking about it. But just like the first one, it's going to be, we're going to have interviews. We're going to talk to people who are like directly affected. We're going to have influencers, entertainers, and it's really just to raise money for an organization in historic Filipino town, which is where I live now, in LA, called PWC, Filipino Workers Center, who like provides aid to low-income Filipinos here in LA. But they're specifically doing a program to sort of provide food and essentials for people who can't afford it, or who are trying to stay safe and can't go out and provide for themselves. So they're sort of raising money to provide care packages, as well as partnering with restaurants to deliver food.
Cool.
Yeah, especially to like the older generation. So.
Hey, can you tell us a little bit about historic Filipino town? Because I know that when I'm driving back home, I see the sign, and there's an exit out there to the historic Filipino town. Can you share a little bit about it for folks who don't know about it?
For sure, man. So I guess here in LA, that area of Los Angeles, historic Filipino town, was one of the first sort of like enclaves for like Filipinos to sort of to gravitate towards, like back in the 20s. I think 1923 was like the first like huge wave of Filipinos coming from the Philippines to California or to Los Angeles, and that's where they stayed.
Were there farms around there? Were they coming in as farmers, like in Stockton?
I think, yeah, that may have been like a stop for them, because like it's funny, like there's still a lot of Filipinos there, but I think some have moved away. But Yeah. From what I know, I should probably educate on myself on this place since I work at a restaurant called Hi-Fi Kitchen and I live there now. You know, as far as I know, that's the reason why. I think back in the day it was called Little Manila because of that, because of the
Mm-hmm.
the number of Filipinos who actually lived there. But it wasn't until 2002 that it was actually named Historic Filipino Town. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
historic Filipino town for about I think just recently they had their anniversary, 18 years as historic Filipino town. And the owner of Hi Kitchen, he was born in I think he was born and raised in historic in Hi-Fi. We call it
So
Hi.
he's a proper local then.
Yeah, exactly. And he had the opportunity to open a restaurant in the city that he was born and raised in, representing
So it's
Filipino.
called Hi-Fi.
Yeah,
right?
Hi-Fi is short
Historic.
for historic Filipino town. Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reason why it's called, I mean, he wants to make sure because I guess there was a time where they wanted to rename the neighborhood something else. Um,
Hmm.
so he wanted to name it Hi-Fi Kitchen because if they did change the name of the neighborhood, at least like the name Hi-Fi is still there within the neighborhood. Like there's even a mural inside that says this is historic Filipino town. So no matter what happens to the neighborhood, that's still there. Yeah.
But that didn't happen, did it?
No, it didn't.
Because I
No,
know
no,
that
no,
real estate agents
no.
always try to change names to make things
Yeah,
marketable.
right, for sure, for sure. But that's not gonna happen. There's gonna be like a new archway that they're building. You know, welcome to historic
Oh,
Filipino.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like we always talk about how when you drive through historic Filipino town, it doesn't look like it. Like when you drive through K Town, like it looks like K Town because
Yeah.
like it's like you see Korean signs. Like at Thai Town, same thing. All these different sort of like enclaves. But when you drive through historic Filipino town, it's just like you can't tell. So I mean, I think more so now. Like I think people are they want to open up businesses, and we're just trying. Yeah, it seems like it's going in that direction. Where like eventually
That's awesome.
you will know that it is historic Filipino town. You know, and like we're proud to be one of the first, establishments to
Wow.
make it.
So you're one of the first establishments like to
I
kind of
mean,
like
like
rebuild that.
yeah, I mean to sort of like let it be known there's that as far as like a Filipino owned
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty cool, man.
part. Yeah, yeah. So that's cool. Yeah. So there's that. I don't know what else. Oh yeah. And so I just recently moved to the neighborhood. I literally live 5 minutes away from Hi-Fi Kitchen, so it's like it's great. Like I can wake up, go to work, so it's great. But prior to that, I was actually homeless. I was living out of my car prior to that. So
Whoa.
Wow.
yeah, so before I hit up Justin, who's the owner of Hi-Fi Kitchen, I was once again like I was talking about that struggle I was going through. It was just like sort of
Yeah.
I was living with someone at the time, and then I had to move out, and I used up all my savings, and I was unmotivated to go out and find work, and I was like, no, I'll just do what I can with my savings, and I'll figure it out. And it was just because of like the depression and just me. I don't know. It was just super unmotivated. I didn't know what was happening. Just sort of like I'm just gonna go with the flow. I've always been that guy, and I realize now that was a mistake. But I feel like I had to go through that. But yeah, so after that happened, that's when I hit up Justin, and luckily he hit me up like some months later, and told me that yo man, I could use your help. He kind of knew what I did prior to that with Soul Sausage and the other restaurants, so he felt like he can use my help. So while we were sort of getting that in order, I was still trying to catch up on bills and try to catch up on rent. I couldn't do it. I had to leave my spot, and I was like, dude, I'm at this transition point where like I'm glad I have a car and I'm glad I just got this job, but I don't have enough money to survive right now. What am I gonna do? And I made the decision to just live out of my car. So I did that for like a year and a few months. Like it was crazy. Like
Oh, wow.
yeah, I because even prior to that, I was thinking like, man, like even when I was working the office job, I was like, I'm I'm making pennies so that someone else can make millions. This is crazy. It's crazy that I'm working just to pay rent. That was my thought process at the time. I was like, no, this is stupid. So when this started to happen to me later on, I was like, dude, am I really gonna just work just to pay rent? I was like, no. And this also me like sort of challenging myself and just like not to say that homelessness is not a struggle, like clearly, right? But I was just like, no, I'm not going to, if I'm struggle, it's going to be for myself. I'm not going to work my ass off, just to spend all my hard-earned money like for a roof. I have my car. Let's see if I can make this happen. I love camping. I'm just like, let me see if I can survive living in my car. And I did for a year and a half, and I did save up enough money. I did have some struggles here and there, clearly, trying to figure out how to shit, shower, and shave, man. Straight up, like,
Wow.
Right.
Luckily there are resources out there, and that's what I learned. I was like, man, yeah, the fact that organizations are actually out there trying to help homeless people is amazing. I had the support of my friends who, they also help me out, like let me crash here and there sometimes.
But you have the couch for a little bit.
Yeah, I had a couch for a little bit, that sort of thing. But I never wanted to welcome. So I was like, yo, if I'm gonna challenge myself to do this, and if I made the decision to do this, I'm gonna do. And it did. It allowed me to save up money. It allowed me to like get out of this hole that I dug myself in, for so long, and going through the same cycle of irresponsibility and not taking care of myself, and not being an adult, essentially, and just like going with the flow, which was great. I think going with the flow was a cool thing when I was younger, but like eventually you get to a point where you're like, yo, man, you need to structure your fucking life, So that was a part of the process. I had to struggle, and I had to put myself in a place, and I almost feel like, I did have to put myself in a place where my back was against the wall. I've hit rock bottom. When you hit rock bottom but then the bottom falls out, like, dude, what are you gonna do, man? So, that was my like moment to be like, okay, once again, going through other various losses around this time. There's like everything was just like falling apart around me. And then COVID happened. I was living out of my car during COVID. So it was kind of like a weird blessing though, because like it still felt normal for me. Like, like people are like, oh man, I can't get out of my house. I'm like, car, so it was kind of like I was already out. It wasn't a huge change for me because I was already struggling. I already didn't have a lot to, and I was just sort of like, it was all bare necessities. It was all essentials. I was working at the restaurant, both restaurants, and then I was also doing Postmates. So I was doing everything I could to get myself out of this hole so that I could afford to eventually, I had that mentality of like, I'm not gonna spend my hard-earned money just to have a roof over my head. But when I got to a point where like, okay, I could actually afford it and I could be comfortable, and and I found this spot, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like as long as I don't feel like I'm struggling to have a place to stay, it's fine. I'm good, and that's where I'm at now. Like even finding this.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you have the spot all to your own now?
Yeah, it's a studio. It's a small studio, and it's on my own. And
nice looking pad.
Thank you. I mean,
it looks quite big. It's like straight up bachelor pad.
yeah. Essentially, there's no walls. It's just the bathroom, and then like it was like newly remodeled. So I like when I first saw this spot on Craigslist, I fell in love with it. But I saw it on Craigslist, it was a scam. So
crap.
I went through the whole process. I called the person who was a great actor, really sold me on it. But it was just like the price was just like it was a steal, literally. And then I was just like, man, okay, I want it. And like I went through the whole process. And then towards the end of the transaction, he was like, I want you to take a picture of a money order and send it to me. I was like, wait, hold up, what? So I was like, yeah. I was like, hold up.
Hell no.
And then I did more research. I did some research online. I was like, yo, the name of this property manager is not the same that I'm seeing online or whatever. So I called the other number of the actual property owner and like, yo, that's a scam. Like, don't do it. And like, damn, I was this close to getting it. You know,
Woo!
I would have been out $2,200. Yeah, I was this
Oh hell no.
red flags at the end. I was just like, I was literally standing inside here on the phone with the dude, and I'm just like, dude, this could be mine right now. Like, am I gonna, like find out later, like that it was a scam? I was like, no, you know what? Sorry, man, not gonna do it. I think you're a scam. Bye. I was like, damn, that sucks. I really wanted the spot, so I started looking up for this, and I just didn't find anything that suited my needs. And I think I also had my heart set on this place, and I felt like, and there was like an energy about this place. And I was just like, dude, this could be my place. This is my haven for creativity. Like this is my space where I can create and like entertain and stuff. During this time where it's like, we have to do it from our home now. Right. So I was like, no, I started budgeting, and I was like, I was becoming
budgeting's good.
Finally, and I'm just like, yo, I think I could actually afford this for the actual price that it is if I go through the, the legit avenues. So I called up the actual property manager at the time. I was like, if it's still available, I still want it. So yeah, and then eventually I got it. I got my credit score up. It's like, it was cool.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, yeah. Sorry, that was a long-winded, stupid story. But
no, it's a good. I think that's a life story that I think a lot of people gotta learn, especially we're talking about budgeting and money is like, that's a huge thing in the Filipino community and in the Igorot community that people need to talk about actually, because a lot of folks, especially like the overseas workers, a lot of folks they spend their life like making money sending it over, but because people back home in the Philippines don't know how to budget, or people over here don't know how to budget, they don't know how to save money for themselves. People back home don't know how to save, they only know how to spend it, right? So it's kind of like, if you can learn how to budget and you talk a little bit about that's huge for people, because they just don't know how to do it. Most people don't know how to do it.
That's right.
It's weird.
Like, you don't need that Louis Vuitton handbag. Like, you really don't, You don't need the Lexus. You don't need the fake one either. You don't need the fake one either. Actually, go even if you really need one, but still, you don't need it. It's like, yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's all lessons, right? It's all like, yeah, man. Like, if I hadn't sort of snapped out of it and chosen to become more responsible, then maybe I would have been the idiot who went for the scam and been out $2,200 and would have started way back at square one again. Right. So
due diligence, got to do that due diligence.
Yeah. If it doesn't seem right, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah,
man.
So do you have any advice for those young Igorots and Filipinos who want to get into the entertainment industry from your experience?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't want to say
you knew that one was coming.
Do it. Yeah, exactly. Man, gosh. At the end of the day, follow your heart. I'm a feeler. I go with what I feel. I'm big on vibes and energy. So as long as you think about it, as long as you talk about it, you'll sort of figure it out on your own. So if you truly want to break into the industry, just know that it's not easy. Just know that you do have to let yourself be known and promote yourself as if you were, marketing a business or a product. I think for younger people, I think by the time you get to a point where, you got your skills up. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Get really good at what it is that you want to do. Get really, really good. Like, so good that it's undeniable that you are the one that they need to choose. Whether it's acting or directing or, cinematography or writing. Like, really good so that no one can deny your ability. And I think by the time you get to the point where you can start looking for work, like the representation will matter at that time. I'm thinking, or we'll have gone a lot closer to people getting used to seeing these faces and getting used to seeing your face, as a writer, as a director. So just get good at whatever it is you want to do and make noise. Like, let people know that you're the shit. You're the one that they want. Man, it's tough. Just know it's not going to be easy. It's still going to be a struggle. It might be easier for you than it was for us older trying to break in. Who knows? Yeah, it might be. I think it is. I think it's really going in that direction. But if it's truly something that you love and you want to do, and you're doing it for the right reasons, and you're not hurting anybody on the way there, including yourself, then do it. Otherwise, I'll see you at the hospital when you're taking care of me in the ER.
Oh,
So yeah.
So in terms of like going back to like just as far as your experience and what you've gone through, you've gone through so much,
Yeah.
man, ups and downs. Have you narrowed down what you feel,
Man, good.
like your thing is?
Oh man.
Or is there a party that doesn't want to
No,
narrow it down?
I think I can honestly say that I'm still on the journey. I don't think I'm super close to pinpointing anything. I feel like what I'm doing now, as far as like helping out and producing podcasts, is sort of like kind of full circle for me wanting to get into radio, because broadcasting is podcasting pretty much, or podcasting is broadcasting, just in a different.
Right.
Even when I'm like, so when I went to school for like radio and television broadcasting, like what I'm doing now is very similar to what I was doing when I was going to school. So I don't know.
wow.
Podcasting seems to be the thing right now. I think COVID is helping out with that. But I don't know. We'll see. This is, even the stand-up thing, maybe once COVID is over, I'm still writing now, but I really, like being on stage and performing for people and seeing people laugh at you, that's something that I love. Just being on stage for anything that I've ever done, just being on stage and performing for people, or being on camera and performing for people, has just always been my thing, like no matter what it was. So as far I honestly I'll figure it out when I figure it out. I feel like maybe I'm too old for that, but no, like I said before, no, you're never too old or too young to start or finish, or it's like I am where I am now because this is where I need to be in my life. That is what I believe. It's not an excuse, it's not a cop out, it's just this is how I've lived my life, my whole life. This is, I feel like every struggle and every every triumph that I've ever had was supposed to happen. I literally could have died multiple times, but there's a reason why I'm still alive. So
the mission's not done, man.
Yeah, the mission is not done, man.
I really look forward to seeing some of your comedy, though, man.
Yeah.
Just knowing you for so many years, like Jay and I, we know like you love to make people laugh and stuff.
Yeah,
so that's why, like, you've always had like such a great heart, and you've always been that kind of guy who's just brightens the room up and brightens people.
Man.
Always gives people a smile, But like, that's why I'm looking forward to see your comedy.
Yeah, for
whatever,
sure.
Like,
absolutely,
stuff you have to offer.
absolutely.
Especially after this damn COVID thing, man. I don't.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, can we bring you up here for our we had to cancel out our BIBAK thing our
sh-
BBAK 30th anniversary.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
we got to fill in a program, and mostly it's
Oh,
country
shoot.
music. So and
Oh,
gangsta.
man.
Dude, yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
we need
That'd
something
be cool.
else.
Yeah, why
I'd
not?
love
Why
to
not?
invite you up here
Yeah,
to
yeah.
actually do a little bit of a show and that kind
That
of like
would be awesome.
work with our people because of your intimate knowledge of our people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, oh man, to be able to write jokes like centered around like being Igorot, but in a like it in an entertaining way and funny way, but also like in education, sort of like
Yeah.
if Dave Chappelle were to like educate people on on blackness, it's kind of like, what if I did that for Igorots, it's like,
That would be freaking awesome, man.
Oh, that would
I mean,
be
like,
deep knowledge.
you
deep
can go to all the
knowledge.
BBucks and all the
Yeah,
IICs and add some
yeah,
entertainment. You
man.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Dude, that'd be dope. Okay, well, shit, I'm gonna write that down.
Put that on the bucket list.
I don't even know. I never thought about that. It's so crazy, man.
Yeah,
That'd
man.
be-
Telling
that'd be
jokes from the
awesome.
Igor perspective be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Think about
Um,
like how many gatherings we have, like just the whole circuit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, seriously. There's gonna be something. There's gonna be a venue for me to be able to like perform those jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like performing it from your, not just the Filipino community, but damn, your Igorot community. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was always a special thing to do our cultural dances. Amongst
Yeah,
ourselves.
exactly.
To be doing something different like that's outside out of the ordinary. It's either we're doing the balangbang or singing Country Road, Take Me Home to a Place I Belong.
Yes. Yes.
Like either one of those two.
Yes.
But to be able to perform
Right.
comedy, for my people, that would be
Yeah,
dope
right.
to do that. Yeah. that'd be cool.
that would actually be pretty awesome. For real.
Yeah.
Love to see
Yeah.
that.
So I know I had Charlene in the previous episode and got her to talk about BIBAK LA as well, but I think we were wondering if you could also talk about your experiences with BIBAK LA, just because they have been such an influential BIBAK in terms of an Igorot organization.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I guess in BBAK LA's heyday, I just remember earliest memories, like when my dad was president, was all the social gatherings. It's just all together, always a party. But it was really, I think it all started because Igorots were when they came here, they were trying to find each other, right? And that's how it all started.
Right.
And so it's just like, let's find a way to gather, and then it became organized, and it's an organization now. And then it's like, let's teach the younger generation our culture. And the best way for us, just as Igorots and as dance. You know what I'm saying? We love to dance. We love music. We love making music. So so for me, just like BIBAK dance ensemble, that was it, man. Like you got to a point where I was choreographing like balangbang and underneath routines. It's like that. Let's see. And then there was a time where it was like super structured, and we actually had classes. We would actually there's one time where we went up to the mountains here, like in SoCal, and rented a cabin, and there was like a whole curriculum where they taught us about the Cordilleran region.
wow.
From and where the meanings behind the dances and the meanings behind like everything, and like how to tie a baha, like that. So
Was this the older folks teaching this?
yeah, it was like the Wandogs and the Botengans, they were the ones who were
Oh,
so
the Botanians, yeah.
that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then then later, we would do FPAC, that festival that I told you about. It was huge. Like we would fly and drive to different places to perform our dances and to
Wow.
represent our culture. Yeah, like we've done some up north. We've done some in Seattle. Yeah, the IICs. I think I only went to the LA one actually.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah. Well, because it was in LA, but um, yeah. So that was huge, you know. So like to like learn to know where I come from, and it got to a point where I really felt like I considered the Philippines, like I would say, when am I going back home? Like I considered it home, you know.
Yeah.
And it, you know, um, and then later on, yeah. So we do all the festivals, the performances, and then yeah. I mean, I know as I got older, like it just sort of like um, I don't know, the drive energy just sort of died down, you know, and maybe it was the struggles that I was going through, or just like me. I don't know. I don't know what it was, you know. So I sort of like strayed away from it a little bit, but you know, now
A lot of people from like that whole
Yeah.
group did though. It wasn't just you, right?
yeah,
It was
yeah. And who knows, you know, it's like when the older generation, like it was hype, you know, like when my dad was president,
oh
when
yeah, man.
Marshall was president, like it was live. Like I don't know, maybe they were like they were around our age like at the time. I don't know.
Oh God, really?
Or maybe it's a little younger, but yeah, it was like there was always something going on. It was super well organized.
Yeah.
Like so there was always, you know, like we were able to find the funds for it. Maybe that was another issue. Maybe for economic reasons, you know, things sort of slowed down and things kind of died. I don't know. I don't know what Charlene. Did her episode come out, or did you talk? That is she?
Yeah, we talked about it with her too. But
Okay.
she's much younger than you, so and
Yeah,
me,
yeah, for
so like,
sure. Yeah,
we only understood from her
yeah,
years that she was involved. She was like
right.
the kids watching. She was like a kid watching you
That's
guys do
true.
it.
That
You know?
is true.
Yeah,
Yeah, she was. Yeah, the generation. Like, yeah. The
yeah, the
next
Yeah, that's
generation after
right.
you
That's
guys.
right.
line,
She
next in
was the
line.
younger side.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So maybe it was because of that loss of leadership. Perhaps I don't know what happened. Yeah, it's just you know that's what happens sometimes, right? It's just like a natural thing that sort of happens. Either it's just leadership is not the same, or the energy is not the same, or you know any number of reasons, you know. But it just sort of dies out. But I'm glad that you know the younger generation, the people who are coming up behind us, you know, are stepping up and still eager to learn and are sort of like re-energized and picking up that energy again, you know,
Yeah, totally.
and when I started noticing that they're like reorganizing again, I was like, yo, man, this is cool. Let's you know, I wanted to be a part. You know, I was like, I wanted to help out, and I'm like super, you know, I'm jazzed, and I kind of want to do it too. But yeah, we'll see. Things are happening. So
Yeah, man. They need your voice.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
perhaps. I keep saying yeah. I know. No, not gonna happen. I will not allow it. Yeah. There it is again.
So
Man.
so
Go ahead, Jay, sorry.
are you currently in a relationship?
I am not. I am not. Let's see. You know, same thing. Going through the P dramas, F dramas. Is that what it is? Of life.
PF, I don't know. It depends.
But it's not as intense as those. It's more K drama. It's more K drama. Sorry.
That's good. Then it's all
Yeah.
peachy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you know, it's one of those things. Just like everything else, it'll happen when it happens. But you know, I'm cool. I'm okay right now. I'm appreciative of everything that I've gone through. I'm appreciative of all the relationships that I've had, and you know, there's always something to learn, and I feel even those struggles had to happen for me to be where I am now. So yeah, man. But yeah, single. COVID is making it a little difficult to date, but you know, still,
Yeah.
you know,
Are those Zoom dates? Is that
that is a thing.
Zoom date?
It is
Oh.
actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it is actually.
Wow, man.
From what I hear, some of these apps video calling integrated into their apps. I don't know. I have never tried it, but that's a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Hey, man. They
still
gotta use
single
every
and no kids. Yeah. But so there's that. Hence the bachelor pad. Yeah.
Well, it's got great energy back
Uh,
there. I can see why you really wanted that place.
Yeah,
That was the
it's-
first thing that we said even before we went before we started recording. Was like, hey man, that's pretty cool.
It's bright. Yeah. It's a good energy.
Yeah, it does have a lot of life in there.
Right. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. It's funny. My coworkers are joking around that this is my relationship. Like they catch me looking at of my apartment. I swiped right on this apartment, so that's what's happening right now. Yeah, which is fine. This is where. And I think that's important too. Is just like, I think that's always been a struggle too. Is just I think I've always like jumped into relationships too before I even like take care of myself, before I'm okay with where I'm at. And that's perhaps why it never really worked out.
Right.
So yeah,
right.
another lesson I guess for me are that based on my personal experience, and I'm glad. Not to say that the relationships were like, no, they were all great, and I think like I said, I am where I am now because of everything that's happened to me. So yeah,
Right on.
And-
right on, man.
now that I'm more focused on taking care of myself, I can probably start taking care of my friends, my family, other people. So
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount of selfishness. I think that goes along with like us making noise. Like we don't want to make noise because we don't want to be selfish. We don't want to sound or look selfish. But it's not even selfishness in a bad way. It's like we have to. We have to take
Well,
care.
more and more.
Yeah, how can we take care of other people if we are not taking care of ourselves? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the
Hey,
entertainment
question,
industry, and
'cause,
branding is huge.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm wondering because the
Yeah.
way we met actually was first
Mhm.
through I think church first,
Mhm,
and then
yeah.
with the BIBAK, and so during this whole process, I mean, can you share a little bit about what your faith journey was in this?
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. This is gonna be super difficult. Just knowing our history and where we came from. I'm still very much a spiritual person. Like I said, I'm all about energy and vibes. I think my views have changed a little bit, but I never forgot what I learned, especially from you guys. Like you guys are the reason why I am who I am today. Like all the EAMs and like Jay. Like I considered you like one of my mentors, I guess, growing up. Because
Oh wow.
a few times that we did interact, it meant something to me, right? Like we I think we would always have like discussions, like one-to-ones and things like that. Every time
Yeah.
we met up or whatever. So that was a huge part of why I think the way that I do, and clearly that stems from being a part of the Episcopal Church and growing up in the church and yeah, but so yeah, I mean that's still a huge part of. It's still a part of my foundation. That is still why I am who I am, and I never forgot that. It sort of like it built a foundation, it strengthened the foundation, it set guidelines, it set sort of outline to sort of follow. I've become a little more loosey goosey as I gotten older. I appreciate everything that religion has to offer. Like I sort of like learn and I listen, but I've never been one to like. I don't know how to say this. It's just a different thought process now. Yeah.
No, I hear you. We grow and we evolve, and
Yeah.
I think one thing about I feel that that's been very true to your experience is that you've been able to follow where the Spirit has been guiding you in your life,
Right.
and when you listen to what is in your heart and it's joyful, that's oftentimes the Holy Spirit speaking to us. and you've been able to channel that into creative endeavors that, well, one, it takes courage. Two, it takes honest conversations that sometimes we are willing to enter, and sometimes we're not, because we're generally passive aggressive people anyway. But when you do, it leads into something that's brand new and that's creative and that's open and that inspires. And so I would say continue to listen to where the Spirit is guiding. If you'll know it's right because it ultimately feels joyful. It might have pain involved in there, and that's simply a thing about paying attention and then reorientating, so that because that paying attention is really vital, because it might actually point you in a direction.
For sure.
But in my experience, Holy Spirit energy is about following where the joy is, and in what I could see in the patterns of your life is that there has been a lot of paying attention to where it's joyful and going in that direction. And that's Holy Spirit energy. And that takes a lot, like again, a lot of courage to enter into. It's so much easier to go the other way and say, nah, I'll take an easier route. But the harder route, well, certainly it makes you stronger. And just hearing your life experience, like, holy cow, dude, you've lived a little. Yeah, you
A little
man.
bit,
I know
a
there's a lot of
little
story
bit.
in that.
A little bit.
That is not in there. But what to me is quite inspiring is your absolute determination to continue to hustle, to make it work, to make it fit into the wholeness of who you are and who you're discovering yourself to be. And that's authentic. That to me is authentic. So for you, it's never been about bullshit. And I remember we had a conversation about this many years ago, that you struggle with listening to people's BS. And well, I think that you found the answer. Is that you live into something that's quite authentic and honest. Well, then you will find that success. In fact, it'll come to you in riches that are certainly the stuff that enriches the heart. And heck, if it monetizes too, God bless.
Thanks,
It brings a joy to my heart, seeing where you are right now, and the fact that you've stuck into something that very few people either have the gift for or have the tenacity to enter into. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
I miss hearing those
really
talks. I miss heaing that from you, Jay. Yeah, dude. Yeah, you've always.
Well, you can always catch my next sermon on our Facebook site at the Episcopal Church of St. Matthew. Actually, I just preached this Sunday, so I'm like, yeah.
Today, right? I always forget.
Yeah.
I always forget what days.
But speaking of the whole faith journey, though, like, I find it, what I find interesting amongst the Igorot communities all over the world, is that there is almost like no separation between. It's like everybody, like, there's no separation between being Igorot and having faith in some sense, or being spiritual or whatever. There is no separation. And like, because, like, obviously, in our experience, like, most of our, I know it has a lot to do with, like, the Protestants coming up, and us being part of the Episcopal Church. That's one thing. But, like, Igorots, like, living out here in Europe, I see it, like, so many Igorots go to some form of Christian church or something, right? Or they follow the rituals. That's always been in us, just following the rituals and doing some type of spiritual rituals, connected to nature or something. And I mean, that was huge. The BIBAK in LA, like, the BIBAK and the church were like one thing, And the same thing kind of happened to us.
IIC was at a church, right? It was held
at a church.
Yeah. So.
And I don't know if it's the same for you guys out in Canada. It's like a lot of the Igorot folks went to the same church? Was it pretty much the same?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think
That was like
that's
almost like a meeting place, right? Like the
yeah.
common sort of like meeting place for all Igorots. Like, yeah, no, that makes sense. I get it. Yeah, for sure.
Actually, that's definitely true in UK. I think
hmm
Northern California is a little bit different because
Mm.
people have a much more wide variety of faith practice in Northern California, where that might not entirely be the case over here, but that I think it's very true in most places. Because if you look at like you guys in the UK, you guys gather at what St. Barnabas.
Well, the
Over
gathering
there.
space is is they always come back here. So like this, what happened over here is like in the 80s, like the church over here everybody went to was this church called St. Barnabas. Like all the Igorot folks went over there, and they because they lived in the same area originally. As the group grew larger, people moved away from this area. But whenever it came to like a function, an Igorot function, whether it be like, obviously a funeral or wedding or something like that, something big, or celebrating the like something out of the seasons and stuff, they would
Right.
all come back and celebrate in the same area, which would be that church, So Igorot folks around the world, they're always kind of connected to their faith somehow,
Yeah.
obviously largely
Yeah.
tend to be Christian, but then these days, like people are okay with mixing in Igorot spirituality and their Christian identity as almost being one in some
Yeah.
sense.
That's
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at as far as like being spiritual and being connected. It's like that. If I could like just combine everything into one rather than going being considered a specific thing, like Christian
Mhm.
or just like I believe it. I'm all about the spirit and the energy, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's all encompassing, right? It's like,
Right.
you know,
right.
Yeah.
the universe telling you something. I say that a lot, and I just choose not to specify. It's just everything, It just it's yeah. It is so difficult, like straight up to talk about with you guys, but that's that's what I feel like.
No, it's all good. It's all
I think
good.
you
I
I
mean,
think you understand what I'm saying though, like as far as
yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
yeah. I don't know how else to explain it, but you get it.
No, I understand. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember. Oh God, sorry, guys in Canada. We're talking about some certain memories, but I always like I remember when I talked about my faith and trying to explain to people. I didn't see God as some like dude with a beard in the sky, a white guy up in the sky. I
Right.
always saw
Right.
God as more as like the energy between all things. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? So it
Right.
was like the space between me and you. There's God in between it, but God's inside.
Right.
That kind of thing. So it's I I mean it is what it is.
Yeah.
Going back to, and I've been involved with a lot of Taoist and Buddhist stuff as well, and
Mhm.
that's actually kind of like expanded my own faith as well in
Right.
terms of I'm I'm Christian, but like
Yeah.
uh expanded my understanding of the way I see
Yeah.
things in terms of like having seeing things from a middle point of view, which is
Gotcha.
largely what Episcopalians do.
Mhm.
They see things from like a middle point of view, and I have
Yeah.
to admit though, bro, like I thought at some point, because you were so involved in the church,
Yeah. You
I
thought I
thought
was
you
gonna
were
be a priest
going
at some
thinking
point.
of yeah, I thought you were. I mean, I then
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
I thought you were headed there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it was yeah, yeah. I mean, I was yeah. I, yeah, I don't know. Life just took me down a different path as far as that goes. Like it was still there. Like it's like like a transfer of energy. That time. Um, it was also about just helping people and sort of like teaching the youth. As a youth leader.
Yeah.
That was a huge part of it. Like a main part of it, I guess. It's like teaching the younger people and um, sort of like
Because you're a youth leader.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like helping to lay that foundation for them as it did for me,
Yeah.
as it did for me.
Yeah.
And like it's the same energy. Like it's hard. As hard as this for me to explain, I think you understand me. Like it's the same energy, but it just sort of transformed a little bit. I guess that's the
Yeah,
best.
that's what it is.
Yeah, that's the best way for me to explain it. And you know, like we could have a discussion. I don't know if you want to do it now or later about, you know, like just traditions and like specific yeah, like I guess tradition, you know, things like that. Like
Well, something had to be at the foundation of that grit that you had to
yeah,
keep on going. And that's
right,
what we're digging at here.
for
Kind of
sure.
like what kept you going? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yeah. And like I said, yeah, it was that foundation, you know, of that's always been there with me. And it's like it was always a drive, it was always a fire. Like I don't think I would have felt um the strength to to have gone through what I've gone through had it not been for, you know, that foundation, for that energy,
Mm, yeah.
you know, for you guys, like sort of like the youth leader for me, you know. Yeah, yeah. So it's like yeah, and it just and now it's just me transferring that energy over too, you know. That's what's happening, man.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, appreciative of it, love it. I you know, it's all yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they'll say, but yeah, it's all love, all there. It's all like we are connected. We are all connected,
Right.
and great to once again have this kind of conversation with you guys. You know, like
Yeah, totally.
this is where it started with us. So and yeah, this is awesome. Um, can't wait to hug you guys.
I know.
Virtual hug. Virtual hug.
Once we can do that, you know.
I
Once we can
can't
do
wait for that. I mean, seriously.
that. Yeah,
It's been 6 months of this stuff already, and like, wow.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
it's still going.
We can talk about
Uh,
that, but no, it's just gonna lead to anger. No, I was kidding. No, it's not.
We've had
Yeah.
discussions with almost everybody about it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, let's not be it. Yeah, you could
No, it's interesting
literally
getting
look
everybody's
anywhere.
experience, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. For me, yeah, like I said, I was already struggling. So for this to happen, to have COVID to happen on top of that, it was just like, oh, okay. It's sad. It's kind of sucks to say, like, but at the same time, I was already struggling. So it's not like, you know, I had it better or worse than anybody. So it's, you know, we were going through it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you got a place during
different.
COVID time.
That's a
See,
feat, man.
Here's another thing. I never blamed. I don't try to blame outside forces, outside circumstances, or other people for where I'm at. I am responsible for why I am where I am.
That's beautiful.
With the help of, you know, I mean, like, but as far as like the struggle or like it's all about what you decide to do with your situation, with what you have around you. You could, even though I've said the word struggle so many times, I didn't say it in a bad way. It's not a bad word. Like it's, you know, like it's what you choose to do in that struggle. Like you talking about like the direction that you choose, what, you know, where that energy is pointing you, you know, like you could take that negative energy. It could be negative. Like it could keep you down, or you can use that energy to like, so make yourself stronger and better and to uplift yourself and other people, you know? So that's
Absolutely.
what happened. That's what happened with me. So during COVID times, it was just like, no, I don't know what, you know, it sometimes when I talk about it, it sounds like I'm bragging or I'm flexing on people. Like when I say, oh, I'm still working, you know, I'm working essential jobs, but you know, it's like, we have a choice, you know, I'm still being safe. But we could all do Postmates. That's what I was doing too. I was like, while I was working those,
Oh, wow.
I was also driving for Postmates. This was early on before it was like super, super risky. I was still masked up. I was gloved up, so, and I would, do the whole drop off. So it was very safe, but I was just like, yo, I need to get out of this hole. And it's almost like COVID was helping me during that time,
Mm.
It's weird. That sounds weird to say because people are dying and I get it. I understand. But yeah, I don't know. I could have been dead a long time ago. So there's that. But it helped me.
Yeah.
Like COVID, along with other things that I was going through at the time, was motivation for me to stand up, to like work on myself, to put myself in a better place. So that's what I did, and that's what COVID was sort of helping me do right now. And yeah, it's crazy. Like, right? I mean, like to still be able to work and to have found a roof over my head when I was living in my car for over a year during COVID times is kind of crazy,
Yeah.
Hey, man,
I
your
wasn't
ancestors are
I was
watching over you.
straight up. Yeah, I wasn't gonna let it stop me. So that's that. Man, yeah, weird. But also, hey man, that's my journey. That's what I chose to do.
Thanks for sharing all of this, man. I mean,
God
like,
bless you.
Yeah,
pretty deep and intense. So everything all at once and stuff like that. And
yeah, and
I know
dude, it's so. Yeah, sorry. Okay.
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying,
Go.
oh yeah. So the last thing I said is I'm a stand-up comedian, but nothing was funny in this, and I'm sorry if it was not entertaining. But if anyone out there could find something positive to take from this, then there it is. I wish I was more entertaining and funny, but I'm a stand-up
look
comedian.
at Jim Carrey, man. When Jim Carrey, when he gets on, have you seen his interviews lately?
Yeah,
That guy's going like world deep, man. He's like,
right.
Yeah, he's.
Like,
I mean, he goes out there and like
but
when he does
also-
interviews, it's
Mhm.
I mean, he's
Right.
not trying to pop a joke every time. He's actually trying
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
teach. You know what I mean? So
Right,
it is what
right.
it is.
Yeah, no,
nothing
that's
wrong with
true.
that.
I'm not. Yeah. I mean, I was partially joking, but yeah, it's so weird. Like, it's so weird. Like this whole time I was talking about me being an entertainer. It's like, yeah, but there's balance in everything. It's not always just like as much as I want to make people. Yeah, I think what it comes down to for me is just like, I don't know, teaching through like my own experiences. Yeah. Sorry, continue. Sorry, Mark. I cut you off.
Well,
No,
it's true.
it's
We
okay.
teach who we are. We
Mhm.
teach who we are.
Yeah.
And I think that the ability to share story. I honestly do believe that it's going to be through our stories, being able to
Mhm.
share our stories, that we could learn to care for people in much more deeper and more responsible ways. We could care for ourselves too, because we hear this inspiration. It's like, man, it's been done.
Yeah.
I can do it too.
If anything, yeah,
Exactly.
it's possible. You're gonna struggle. It's not. It might be easy, actually. It might be easy for some of you, but just know that if it's not always. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a struggle. It's all about what you decide to do. When you're when you hit rock bottom, when your back's against the wall, when you're living in your car, when you're about to die, when you're going through health issues, what are you gonna do in that situation? So,
Right.
keep good people around you.
Yeah.
I'm not a therapist. I probably need one actually. I'm looking into that. Yeah. But yeah. Go through the struggle. The struggle helps you. Keep loving. Love is. I think keeping love in my heart has also been a thing that's sort of keep me alive and keep me sane. Being, I don't want to say like, yeah, stay positive, man, but if you can, but also go through it. You are where you are now because this is where you need to be. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, to say keep loving your heart, that's some people might say, oh, that's cliche, but I think like you have to have a reference point in your life. You have to have some reference point in your life in terms of like it's like the North Star, you know what I mean? How are you going to know which direction? The other day there was a Academy of Sciences in California, in San Francisco, California, was doing they were doing a whole thing on wayfinding. And part of
Okay.
wayfinding, it was awesome
Right.
because it was about the about like the Polynesians. How were they able to
Mhm.
travel from place to place? They had a
Right.
huge understanding of the star system,
Yeah.
and because of that, they had a huge reference point. They had they had a main reference point, the horizon, and then
Yeah.
all these stars. And I think like when you talk about like, oh, keep love in your heart, there's that's you need some reference point to kind of keep you on the path. Otherwise, it's just like you just you can polarize yourself one way or another,
Right.
And if
True.
there's anything that needs to be like to keep you in balance, you need that. So it is what it is. I said that like 1,000 times.
I know, that's fine. I'm with it. I am all about it because it's true. Mahalo na. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
man,
What man?
Beetle's still out there?
Mm.
Oh yeah, because it's
Ah.
Zoom, it's limited.
Oh.
Oh, okay, I
Oh.
see. Yeah.
Ah.
Wow,
it's
we've
good to have
gone
him
for a
always
while.
there.
Like I don't know. I mean, let's keep going. I love talking to you guys.
These are like therapy sessions.
Yes, yeah, it kind of is. Yeah. Shit. Okay.
My God,
Oh
3
yeah,
hours. My Lord. Yeah, that's
Wow.
actually normal.
is that a record? Because it's
Oh,
3
what time
a.m.
is it over there? Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, we are. It's 8 hours ahead. 8 hours ahead. So, yeah, I'm hitting. It's almost about to hit the 3 a.m. mark. But I'm okay,
Yeah.
man. It's been so long since we've seen you. So
Yeah,
I
seriously.
know. I really
Yeah.
want to roll with the idea of actually checking out a few like Filipino media
That's awesome.
and
Yeah.
and maybe grabbing a couple of clips from it, and doing a little bit of a reaction from it, because I think that hyping our own stuff up, the good stuff, because we know the
Mhm.
bad stuff. I mean,
Right,
that's
right,
easy
right,
to
right.
find.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
hyping up some of the stuff that's quality,
Mhm.
actually would be, I think, worth investing in. Um, but the other thing is, we do interviews with other guests, and
Yeah.
so whenever you have the free time to pop into one of these conversations, you
you're always
would love
open.
to invite you
Always.
to join
Dude, that'd be
join
so awesome.
the circle,
Yeah.
and share your insight, and throw your questions in there too.
That would be so cool. But you guys know how much I talk. But yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be so awesome. Yeah. I would love that. Yeah. For sure.
Totally, man.
All right, so I think for our concluding question, since you mentioned a Disney movie earlier, we'll go ahead and ask, what's your favorite Disney movie and why?
Favorite would be Pocahontas.
Pocahontas.
Like I think my first
Nice.
Disney movie that I watched was Lion King. So Lion King still has like, place in my heart, whatever.
Mhm.
But definitely my favorite is Pocahontas because it was made during the shift in the States when it comes to like indigenous identity and whatnot. So that was a
Ah.
pretty interesting thing, especially because it was Disney that kind of like it didn't implement it, but it like rode the wave of it. So that's a really cool thing, and it's a great movie. All Disney films are great movies, but
Yeah.
like it has its problems. And one of the things that I tell my friends is like I'm worried that it might have a live action remake.
Oh.
Because it'll change the story a bit, and the hope is that um it'll change some of the inaccuracies of Pocahontas and whatnot, but like it to me it's still a really cool movie. And like I think it's really cool because I mean, it's cool to bring it up because like, we're part of like these indigenous talks and
Right.
Torogi talks and whatnot. So in a way, like I kind of like Even now, I still kind of like identify with the movie in a sense. You know what I mean? Because it's about the first peoples of of North America, and the interactions it has. Like, it's just a cool movie.
Yeah.
Like, I can go on to try to like break it down, but it's just
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
So we're talking about the animations, right? The animated like big movies and stuff. Because I could go Marvel, but
Yeah.
Or Star
That's
Wars.
true. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
technically, yeah. But I'll stick to the cartoons, and
Yeah.
you did mention Lion King, man. That was Lion King was awesome, man. That was a
Yeah.
good year too. I remember
Mhm.
'cause we were out
Animated
in
or
Southern
live
California a
action
lot, man.
animated?
No, the original one, man.
Yeah.
We watched it
Ah,
down in San Diego, I think, with our cousins and stuff.
yeah,
And we were
yeah.
spending a lot.
We did.
There's just a lot of good memories attached to that time
Mhm.
period down in when we would travel down to Southern California a lot, and Lion King was awesome, especially for that. Geez, for that era. The
Right.
music was Elton John and
Mhm.
great soundtrack, and golly, we listened to that a lot that year.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it, but yeah, man. But
Sing it.
the story of the
Sample.
circle of life, right?
Yeah.
Just the whole story of the circle of life and the relationship and stuff like that. Of course, then I realized that Lion King was a ripoff from a Japanese cartoon,
Yeah.
which I had
No,
no
no,
clue
That's
that's
about.
actually
right.
no.
Is that not
That's
true?
actually
No?
a myth. No, that's a myth.
Oh.
I can show you. I
Sure,
can show
sure.
a full video that totally explains it. But that's actually a very misconstrued
Okay.
myth. But we can talk more about that later on. It's
Oh,
actually
please.
it doesn't
Okay.
copy it. It doesn't copy it because what happened was it's a serial. It's a series. There were like
Okay.
there was like 20 movies
Okay.
before Lion King came out. Not only
Okay.
were there movies, but there were mangas. So a volume of like 60 mangas or whatever. So
Yeah.
before Lion King even like released, there was already like 2,000 hours worth of the of Kimba. Okay.
Right.
And
Kimba,
then
yeah,
after
Kimba. Yeah.
and then after the Lion King, there were 2 or 3 other movies of Kimba. And the second movie after, I think it was like in the 2000s, that Kimba movie copied Lion King. So anytime you go on YouTube or in the internet, they're like,
Oh.
"Oh, Lion King and Disney, they copied Kimba." They show footage of Kimba after Lion King
Uh-huh.
because that movie
So
copied
that
Lion King. Yeah,
okay.
and there's another argument too where Kimba sounds like Simba, so they
That's good
copied. So
knowledge.
Lion King copied Simba or Kimba. But I
Uh-huh.
think in Swahili, Kimba means king. Or sorry, Simba means king. Simba means king.
Simba means
So
king.
that connection already is kind of like moot. And the reason why they
Okay.
changed Simba to Kimba was the North American director was, or not the director, the North American producer was like, let's change it to a more easy sounding name for Americans to like, as
Oh,
opposed to
wow.
Simba,
Right.
because Simba was too close to the actual Swahili word. And so when Lion King came out, Simba, they're like, all right, king. And all
Yeah.
these articles on the internet are like, oh yeah, they copied Japanese, blah blah blah. No,
Right.
no, no.
Ah.
It's lies,
Wow,
man.
that's
Fake
Thank
news.
interesting.
you.
Good to
Fake
know.
news.
Thank
Good
you
to
so
know.
much
Deep
Fake news.
for
knowledge.
clearing
Deep
that up.
knowledge.
I had to
Yeah.
watch a like 2 hour video just to like obscure. But
Thank you for
anyways,
saving
Was there a
us 2
2-hour video
hours.
about this? Because I think I got
I'll
that
send the
from
link.
like
I'll
a
send the link.
yeah. I'm really curious, man.
Oh yeah, no, trust
Oh
me.
my
I've
God.
seen for
This whole
years.
time.
I've seen. Oh yeah, Kimba, Simba copied, blah blah blah. It's like
I was so angry for no reason.
that fake news, man. That's the internet.
Exactly. See,
It's the
exactly.
internet.
I
It's
can
the
I can
internet.
admit
Watch
that.
out.
It got me.
Watch
It
out.
got me. Yeah.
Trust me.
I'll
Trust
preach
me.
on that
Yeah.
one day. That's good stuff. That's good stuff to preach on.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Well, it was a great movie, man. That was a great movie, though.
yeah.
Good soundtrack. All right,
Yeah,
I
man.
said my piece.
Moana.
Oh,
All right.
Moana. Yeah,
That was a
that's a
good
great
one.
one.
Wanna make way, make way.
These are great
Um,
songs.
yeah,
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
one, it had great music. It
Yeah.
really did.
All of these
But
films did.
when
Yeah.
and then you had a whole bunch of Polynesian people behind the voices, like
Brown
real
folks,
Yeah.
man.
deal
Hell yeah.
Brown folks.
people.
Yeah.
Brown
For
people
sure.
behind those voices,
Yeah.
and they really were very meticulous about trying to like pick up on common legends.
Mhm.
So even the idea of of Maui and what that means even for us as Igorot people who have some sort of lineage to Polynesian people via Taiwan. And so to me, oh man, just the investing that Disney put into that, the time, the good music, the great story, because it has a great archetypical story, and it's not man bashing necessarily because because the heroine is out there, but she is real. She's trying to save her people in a real deal way, and she's picking up the
Right.
lazy demigod who's kind of like hanging out there,
The lazy demigod.
and she essentially saves the universe there,
Right.
or at least their universe there in that story. So there's a great archetype in there that I think is wonderful. We listened to that soundtrack for a year and a half in my car every time my daughter wanted to like listen, and it took it it took the place of Frozen because Frozen was there forever, right? And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden now I'm listening to this Moana soundtrack, and you feel like you're over the Pacific Ocean,
Yeah.
and it was just really cool because like again, to me, there was a deep investing to make it as honest as possible, and sometimes people struggle with that. It does it have like some sort of authenticity. I think Disney did do their due diligence to 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 bring out as much as possible within the context of the culture, but and also to expose other people to a heroine who has, if you notice, she don't look like no regular Disney princess. When they drew her, she had
Mhm.
big legs and feet. Kind of sounds
Yeah.
Igorot to me, man.
Whiter nose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I was about to
Yeah,
say.
wide nose. I
Yeah.
mean, and when they depict her, like I think they did it in the Wreck-It Ralph, where she's with all the other Disney princesses. She's like Wonder Woman sized,
Yeah.
uh, compared
Yeah.
to the rest of the princesses. I mean, she's yeah.
Oh yeah, Wreck-It
So I
Ralph.
think the second Ralph film
Yeah,
had
yeah,
it,
I remember that.
and,
Yeah.
and so it's like wow, okay, but that's also a symbol of both beauty and heroism. Um,
Eh,
and I
There's something
and
to
I
seeing like somebody similar in terms of image, on such a big time
Yeah.
movie thing
Right.
too. Like having two daughters, like my just at least my daughter, my not both daughters, but like my older daughter, she loves dressing up like Moana and stuff like that, and it's just cool for her to have an image of herself
Yeah.
that she
Yeah.
sees is similar to her, and to grow up with that, and she's got that kind of connection. She's got something to
Yeah.
grow up with, knowing that I got someone who looks like me on in the media, on TV.
Oh,
You know what I
be
mean?
careful,
And
man. She might want to get into entertainment. Be careful.
you know what?
she might
She
actually.
wants to
She
dance
might.
and sing.
She
She
might.
wants to
Okay.
dance and sing, and
That's how it starts.
you know,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
yeah. That- this is why we're having this discussion, right?
Exactly. Be prepared. Be prepared.
Yeah,
Be
yeah. But
prepared.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
there's a certain archetype in there that when you're able to see that and it's like, hey, you know what, that story, uh that story is I can see my story in that story.
Yeah. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's why you gravitate towards it, right? That's why. Sorry.
Yeah. So there's definitely a beauty into it, and Disney's like magnificent in creating this kind of like uh these kind of stories. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like they're just magnificent at it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they weren't always though, because the movie I chose is kind of racist, but because of the time that it came out, 1992, I was really into it, but it was Aladdin.
Oh wow.
Aladdin.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Leia Salonga. I mean, like when I saw that documentary about
Lea
her, like
Salonga.
sort of trying out and auditioning and all that process.
Yeah.
wow, that was amazing. But and the music, the story of like the diamond in the rough and whatnot, and all that. But
Right.
young person watching that, you don't see like all the racist shit that happens, but you enjoy it for what it is, and yeah. 92. That was a
Yeah, man.
time.
Hearing Lea
Yeah.
Salonga, that was big for Filipinos.
Yeah, that was. There you go. That's another thing. That's another thing that we see, and we're like, yo, this Filipino from the Philippines, like, yo, she blew up, and she's still doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so
She
true.
was still doing Miss Saigon at the time, I think. And then
That's true.
then when she
yeah.
did that, it was like all the young Filipino kids all singing that song, I can show you the world.
Yeah,
That whole
exactly.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, on karaoke. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is
So
so
yeah,
true.
she was a huge influence on us. Like, wow.
Oh yeah, totally, man.
I can.
A symbol of pride.
Yeah, 100%. Like, she was like that generation's Bruno Mars or something. You know what I'm saying? Even though Bruno Mars is like half of it. Yeah.
Oh, he reps though. He reps, which is
That's
pretty cool.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
But also 1992, I got to have to mention a live action film from 1992, Mighty Ducks. Okay, that's an honorable mention.
Oh yeah. That is a
wow.
Disney film. That is a Disney film.
Yeah, technically, yeah. So that's
I think
mine.
it is,
Sorry,
right?
sorry if I think it is. It was, yeah. I think it was a Walt Disney presentation.
It was, yeah.
It was.
Yeah, and then yeah.
Yeah, it is on Disney Plus, I think. Yeah. Could have sworn I saw it when I was going through Moana. That thing with Disney movies in general, the nice thing about it is that it's multi-generational. A lot of the stuff that they have. So
Right.
like, being able to show this thing that you watch to your kids or, and then later on they'll show it to their kids. That's the cool thing about a lot of these Disney flicks. Because my kids love to ask me, so Dad, did you watch this too when you're young? And then they like knowing if I did watch it, And so I say, yeah.
It's like,
I watched
wow,
it too. And then they
cool.
like
Yeah.
watching it. Yeah. This is the
cool.
only time I'll be cool to them. This is it.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, because you would think that they'll be like, oh, you watch this when I'm not gonna watch that. That's old. Yeah.
Old people
But
stuff.
some of them hold up, so yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they do. Some of them do hold
So,
up pretty well.
Some positive lessons in there as well. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Kind of my sister, my sister May. She's a huge fan of Lilo.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, Lilo and
She
Stitch?
what?
Yeah. But like Lilo, like she was another character that a brown girl, like wide nose.
That's right. That was
Yeah. Even before. Still, yeah, it's cool to see. Just
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo
that
and
was
Stitch.
another really good
I did
one.
show that to my kids
yeah.
the other day.
Yeah.
Last week actually. They're like, "Oh, Dad, I didn't know they did this before Moana." I said, "Yeah, actually."
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That she they recognize that. Oh.
Yeah, they are connecting to that. I mean, like,
Ah.
even growing up here in in California, there's so many Filipinos, right?
Right.
But like growing over here, like they recognize the. I mean, like they ask me questions that like make me go, "Whoa, you recognize that already?" Like,
Yeah.
she's like, "Yeah, I'm the only brown kid in my class." I'm like,
Wow.
"Oh, damn. Yeah, it is what it is."
Yeah.
But be proud of that, I tell her.
Yeah.
It's like be proud of who you are.
Mhm.
And it's not just me saying it. The fact that she's actually seeing it in some media
Yeah.
is backing that up. So
Right.
it's pretty cool. I mean, because what did we
Very
have
true.
growing up? Was Bruce Lee,
Mm-hmm.
Jackie
Bruce
Chan?
Lee,
Yeah.
Jackie Chan,
Yeah.
Jet Li. But that was like when we were
Yeah.
there. But like, how about that
Yeah.
age, like under 10, like
Who
Ernie
do we
Reyes
have?
Jr.
I mean,
Yeah, but he was in a suit. I mean,
What else was
he
there?
was in those Ninja Turtle suits.
Bruce
so
Lee.
Oh yeah. I mean, he
That's
did. Did he do like Surf Ninjas or something like that, or something? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
and
he did.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was. Oh no, in one of the.
He was in the movie. He's one in the
Yeah,
movie.
he was in. Yeah, that's right. He was a cake
Yeah, he was
character
in the movie.
for
He was a pizza
Yeah.
delivery guy.
pizza delivery guy.
Oh, right.
Kino.
Right.
Kino. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the Asian kid in the
Goonies?
Indiana Jones film.
Oh yeah, Short Round.
Oh yeah, the Asian
Short
kid.
Round.
There
There you
you
go.
Yeah, or the Asian guy in
Hot-
was it one of the Molly Ringwald movies? That's 80s, but
Oh Lord.
Oh, that was Duck
or Long Duck.
Long Duck Dong.
Long
Yeah,
Duck
so it's
Dong.
like, this is what we know. Very stereotypical and
Oh well, Chow Yun Fat.
Super-
He had
Yeah.
those,
Yeah.
you know, the double
Yeah.
Glocks.
yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah,
I was
that's
thinking
right.
if you, but all the Hong Kong films, only if you kind of like were part of a network of people that knew where to get those films back in the
Yeah.
80s and
That's
90s.
true.
Like otherwise, you wouldn't know. You know what I mean?
yeah, but
Yeah.
there was
It
a
was
whole
kinda
thing
rare.
about like they used to show them in the local theaters.
Mhm.
Those John Woo flicks.
Oh, the John Woo flicks, yeah.
Yeah, so you'd see like, you know, and then Jet Li. Jet Li was another one you'd see, like Once Upon a Time in China,
That's
1, 2,
true.
3.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Romeo.
all those Wong Fei Hong films and
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Hook.
Hook, man. Dante Bosco was
Hook.
good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes.
Don Bosco.
Yes.
And you mentioned
Yep.
him a few times, right, Arnold?
I did, it's weird to say, but yeah, I mean, I think we're the same age, so it's like for real, like it's
Did you
so,
ever meet him?
it's like yeah, we met. I think we know of each other. I think he was in a independent action comedy
The
called
Dead Boo?
Awesome Asian Bad
Oh.
Guys. He was in that too. But I did background work for that. So we met and we chat here and there. Even prior to that, when I was still doing radio, I would see him at mics, and I had to do like a drop for my radio show one time. So we've met each
wow.
from time to time, like just from being in the industry. So yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
That's pretty cool though.
yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
you
but
know
yeah,
what he
honestly,
feels.
just seeing him, on TV, like it was literally a Skittles commercial, and I was just like, "Yo, that guy looks like he could be my cousin or my brother," and
Right.
this is possible. This is actually possible for me to do if I really wanted to do it, and he's one of the reasons why I wanted to get into it. Him and
That's cool, man.
Martin Yan. If Yan can't cook, so can you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, Martin Yen. Martin Yen to watch.
Martin
Yeah.
Yen. You know that accent of his, he had to do it because he used to do it with the straight up.
Right.
He had to make that up.
Yeah.
People didn't
You have to make
believe
it more Chinese.
that he was
More authentic,
doing
right?
Chinese
That's
cooking
ridiculous.
without him doing that
Yeah.
accentuated accent.
Right.
So he had to actually add that into it, and it became part of his gig.
Yeah.
Do you guys know about Martin Yen? Did you guys watch
No.
Yen King Cook back in Canada? Oh damn!
So
man.
he
I'm
was
sure he's got
local,
some videos
public-
on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martin Yen. That was local from the
Public.
PBS.
Yeah, PBS. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, but he was local Bay Area, San Francisco.
Really?
And he used to film out of Foster City.
I didn't know this. Oh shoot.
Yeah,
That's cool.
because one of his sous chef was a member
Yeah.
of my congregation.
Oh wow. Well,
Yeah.
can you introduce me to
So,
Martin Yan, please?
I
One of my
could. He's still
heroes.
around, but
My
he
hero.
still
Yeah.
hangs out.
He's
Yeah,
still-
but he
yeah.
used to have he used to have his studio out of Foster City, just up the street,
Wow.
until that got redeveloped. It actually got redeveloped,
Mhm.
and now it's like a big old condo. But he used to rent out a place out there. And so you see, what's Martin Yen's name there? Well, it actually is the studio that he used to film the programs out of.
Okay.
And so it
That's
was
very
just
cool.
it was just a
Wow.
storefront that was a studio for him.
Got you.
Yeah. But yeah, as a really, really fascinating person, and he did bring a lot of the idea of like Asian cooking to the home. I mean, he had the definite one of the first kind of like, PBS had all of the kind of like the Food Network stars before there was such a thing.
Yeah, they
right?
were the
Right.
original one, man.
They were the original celebrity chefs.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
chefs,
On our
yeah.
public access channel.
Right.
You guys have had a, I don't know. You have your own version of like BBC out there, right? In Canada, like public broadcasting.
Yeah, we get PBS.
Oh, so it's called PBS in your area. Okay, I'm surprised you guys
It
didn't
is,
get it, or maybe
yeah.
maybe were the shows already dying out like in the late '90s?
Maybe.
those kind of shows.
When was he
I just-
active?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely
80s
the 80s.
all the way through the 90s.
80s, early 90s.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't
Yeah.
have seen it,
Something like that.
but we would still see like Bob Ross and stuff.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
not-
Oh yeah,
But
that guy was eternal. Yeah, he's on
Yeah.
Netflix still now.
Yeah, that's
Still
right.
watch his stuff. Right.
Yeah.
You could just have him in the background. You just hear his like calming, relaxing voice.
Mhm.
Speaking of voices, Dante Bosco, man, that he's like big on the
Zuko.
Comic-Con scene when it comes to voice acting.
Yeah.
Frickin'
Yeah,
Zuko.
Zuko,
Zuko,
and then
Zuko, yeah.
what was the other one he did? He had another voice.
Mm.
Can't remember, but I know Zuko was really big, and people
Yeah.
always, like,
Zuko,
have him on
Zuko,
panels.
the grandson. He did that too.
Oh, he was also the grandson too. Yeah,
Yeah.
in the new one.
Uh,
That was pretty cool. Hey, voice acting, man.
yeah, I mean that's another thing. I mean, like I've done a little bit of, I've done a few things here and there, but nothing major. But that voice acting is another thing that I want to do. Oh God, how many things, man! All the
Oh, yeah.
just let me do everything, you know. Yeah, but now, yeah, I just need to push it. I just need to put myself out there and do it. Yeah.
Right, man.
Well, George Takei, he does some crazy voice acting.
Yeah.
That guy's voice is just
Yeah.
so.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
another
man.
guy that was influenced growing up. Was just seeing George Takei as Sulu,
Oh yeah,
right?
oh
And
yeah.
stuff.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of Any Asian that was on TV or in film, like, dude, that was the dude. That was the dude that you wanted to be. It was cool. Well, yeah, speaking of, I can't just talk about voice acting without mentioning one of the co-hosts of Pan Geekery. He's the voice of Jonah in the latest trilogy of Tomb Raider video games. So he's like a major. I don't know if you guys.
Oh wow.
Yeah. His name's Earl Balon, voice actor extraordinaire, actor in general extraordinaire.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
very cool.
Yeah. So everybody.
Beatles are our gamer extraordinaire.
Okay.
Which game is this?
Tomb Raider. Like Rise
Did you ever
and
play
Shadow.
Tomb
Yeah.
Raider?
I never have,
Yeah.
but those are big.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah. The new voice of like Bugs Bunny. He's Filipino. Eric, I think he's Canadian too. Eric Bauza.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No way. No way.
He might be in LA. I don't know.
A Filipino Bugs Bunny? What the?
Yeah. Daffy Duck.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
That's-
it'd be interesting if there's a sitcom about that actually did feature Filipinos, because Koreans have it. They have Kim's
Mhm.
Convenience now.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
and that's a great show.
That's
And
from
there was-
Canada.
Yeah, that's
There
true.
was a
Yeah.
Filipino
Right.
actor
Yeah.
on that show. It was a musical, and it's on Netflix. It's that musical about that girl who kind of goes nuts because she falls in love with her old ex. Well, she finds her old
Crazy
ex.
Crazy ex-girlfriend.
Crazy ex-girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the guy was Filipino actually.
Right.
And even though his name, I don't know if they intended to make him more Chinese at first, but
Yeah.
they went with the Filipino theme instead because he's
Right.
actually Filipino.
Yeah.
And so they show a lot about
West Covina, I think, which is another Filipino.
from West
enclave here.
Covina.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
thing
Think
ran
about you
4
guys.
seasons. The Crazy Ex-Girlfriend
did.
ran 4 seasons.
Yeah, there was a
That's-
Filipino family. Yeah, so and he had his whole family. Like his family was in, they represented. So Filipinos represented.
Yeah, that was awesome. So if you want to see another
Wow.
Filipino actor,
Yeah.
There,
Right.
there you
Crazy
go.
Ex-Girlfriend.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. Anytime, man. Yeah, this was awesome. Yeah, you guys were like therapy to me. You're like, thank you for allowing me
Yeah, man.
to tell my story. Follow me on social media at the Twitch channels, twitch.tv/pangeekery. Strengthened Community is coming out on the 20th. Is a live stream fundraiser for COVID relief for Filipinos here in LA, and that's coming out on the 29th. Stay tuned for that. I might be Twitch streaming on my own as well. Twitch.oddball ODBAWL. Yeah, I don't know, but let's see what else. Oh yeah, if you're in LA, catch me at Hi-Fi Kitchen. I don't know if that's safe to do, but hey, I want to represent what I'm doing, and I want to promote all the things that I'm doing. So Hi-Fi Kitchen in historic Filipino town, and Kindness and Mischief Coffee in Highland Park, LA. What else? I don't know. Yeah, all the things. I will be doing all the things. Yeah.